This is the 2019 CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship. Live from Llandau in South Wales for round one of the 2019 CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship. Welcome. This is the afternoon set of races, the final of 3 set of races for 9 categories in the official partner series to the British Superbikes Championship and the road to MotoGP. On track for this first set of races is the Mini GP70s. And we've already enjoyed lots of amazing races with Eddie O'Shea taking the race victory in race number 2. And yesterday in race number 1, he got his first victory of the weekend. And the grid order for this final race, race number 3 for Mini GP70s this weekend, will be Mr. Eddie O'Shea on pole position, Bailey Stewart-Campbell in second position, Ryan Hitchcock in third, and Owen Mellor in fourth. Johnny Garness lines up in 5th place with James Cook in the top 6. Starting in 6th place, James Rose in 7th, Finn Smart in 8th. In 9th place will be Kyle Payne, Mason Johnson in 10th, Harrison Crosby in 11th, Emmanuel Brinton starting 12th, Alfie Davidson going from 13th, Saf Watley in 14th, Carter Brown in 15th, Thomas Gomez in 16th, Dylan Mellor in 17th, Ollie Walker starting 18th, 19th will start Jack Kirsch, Joe Farragher in 20th place, and Jamie Woodcock in 21st position. My name is Lester, and our race commentator alongside me this afternoon will be Blake Ansell for various rounds, but starting the race, it's Liam Hodgins.
Yes, thank you very much, Lester. The riders are on the grid, looking for the start of race number 3 of the mini bike GP70. The green flag is going to go up very shortly. Once we've got all the riders, there seems to be an issue at the back of the grid. One rider and his bike are getting pushed off the circuit. That's a shame for them at the back, but we're going to get this race underway in a few moments' time. The green flag is up, it's going down, and a fantastic start by Eddie O'Shea ahead of Bailey Stewart-Campbell into turn at number 1. A little bit of bumping and boarding into the hook chicane, but it's Eddie O'Shea ahead of Bailey Stewart-Campbell and Ryan Hitchcock, the top 3 at the moment, through the first couple of corners of this opening race 3 today. So we've got Eddie O'Shea building a bit of a gap through the first wee corners, as also Bailey Stewart-Campbell is chasing him down. So as we see them come through the bottom of the circuit here, the sun is trying his hardest to break through at the moment, but Eddie O'Shea is building up a small advantage ahead of Stewart-Campbell and Ryan Hitchcock, Lester.
Yeah, definitely it's looking like, and let's hope it's we have a show from the rest of the riders, and it won't be just an Eddie O'Shea walk away. But well, as I say that, it is Eddie O'Shea who's leading the pack by only half a second, and Ryan Hitchcock in the fastest lap so far with a 50.650. Owen Mellor, as you mentioned, down to 4th.
Yes, absolutely. As you said, you don't hope it's not going to be an Eddie O'Shea show again, but then again, he is trying his hardest to ruin your day, Lester. So he's pulling away at the top of the pack. It's Bailey Stewart-Campbell still in 2nd place, Ryan Hitchcock in 3rd. There's a great wee battle between Ryan Hitchcock and Owen Mellor at the moment for 3rd and 4th. Eddie O'Shea got a couple of bike lengths advantage into Raymond's hairpin. We've got Ryan Hitchcock looking pretty in there, but it's we've got a rider down at the final corner. He's trapped under the bike at the moment, so fingers crossed he's okay. I think that was
Finn Smart who took a bit of a tumble, but up front it is still Eddie O'Shea. We've got the red flags.
Yeah, red flags are out. The race is stopping for the moment, so fingers crossed the rider that did go down is going to be up on his feet fairly shortly. So at the moment we did have Eddie O'Shea that was leading the pack from Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Ryan Hitchcock, as it went into lap number 3, was in 3rd position. Owen Mellor, who we had up in the commentary box earlier on, is sitting 4th. Johnny Garness is in 5th spot at the moment. James Cook in 6th. Emmanuel Brinton was sitting in 7th place. We had Harrison Crosby in 8th, Mason Johnson 9th, Kyle Payne was in 10th, Saffron Watley, great start from Saffron there, up into 11th place. Ollie Walker in 12th, Dylan Mellor was in 13th, Alfie Davidson in 14th, and we had Jack Kirsch in 15th spot there. So Joe Farragher was in 16th at the moment. So we're just getting the rider down at the hairpin attended to, Leicester. So fingers crossed it's all going to be okay.
So we are streaming right now live online on the usual social media channels, on Facebook at CoolFABRacing, also on the Motorsport Radio Facebook page as well. So if you have any relatives back home, maybe some family and friends, or maybe your mother, maybe she's having a special lie-in on this special Mother's Day, and hello to all the mothers listening and tuned in. Maybe you'd like to share the address of the stream, and I'll do my best to get sharing on various online forums and such, to let everybody know what a fantastic show the CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship is. And we will be reading out some of the best comments that we've seen, and we have had lots of comments as well flood in so far. Certainly in the morning as well on the CoolFab Facebook account, and you can also use the hashtag on Twitter, which pops up directly into the studio. Use the hashtag CoolFab. I think that's a good hashtag.
Just a wee handy CoolFab hashtag, which is always great there, and it will definitely get delivered up to us. We will read out some of the comments and hopefully hear from you and how your day's going and what you're most looking forward to. What's the race you're most looking forward to coming up later on today? So we've definitely had some great racing action throughout the day, Leicester. We've had obviously the mini GPs out for 2 races earlier on this weekend. We had Eddie O'Shea taking the spoils in both races earlier on this weekend. Ryan Hitchcock took second in the second race earlier on today, but Johnny Garness was second place yesterday, and Owen Miller, who we had up in the commentary box earlier on, really inspiring young kid. Lots to look out for him. Was in third yesterday, and Emmanuel Brinton was in third earlier on today. So there's a bit of a mix and match, apart from Eddie O'Shea, the top spot.
Lots to look forward to, certainly, and I don't think we can entirely rely on the precedent from the previous 2 races or maybe we can, to find out what might happen in race number 3. I mean, certainly at the start of the Mini GP70 race, Eddie O'Shea was looking set to... Well, he was looking strong, let's say. Yeah, loads of comments already on our live stream. Hello to Philip Longhurst. Hello, Phil. And Alex Barrett as well. Helen Hill still tuned in. And Ken as well. Hello and good afternoon, folks. This is live radio commentary of the first round of CoolFABRacing at Clandau in Spain. What am I thinking of?
Well, so
I wish we were in Spain, to be honest.
It's been feeling the Spanish weather, apart from today, so far this weekend. We forgive you for mistaking it for being Spain, Leicester. I
was mentally in Spain, I think. That's what it was. But a lot of the riders out in Spain a couple of weeks ago for, I suppose, pre-season testing.
Yes.
The Winter Grand Prix, I suppose it's unofficially called.
Yeah, so just to give you a wee update, the rider that did crash at the final corner has been taken off the circuit, so we will give you an update if we hear anything about that, but yeah, fingers crossed you'll be okay. Another wee thing I need to tell you about, if you were listening in yesterday, Evan Belford. Now, you might remember Evan was part of the GP70 class, the number 52 bike, should be racing this weekend, but unfortunately in practice he did break his collarbone. Because apparently he was on for a very quick time this weekend and challenging some of the race lap records, so he's on the sideline, but he's still cheering everyone on and looking forward to some fantastic mini GP70 action as we've got the riders back on the grid again for the start of the green flag warm-up lap in a few moments, Leicester.
Yeah, just I think we're poised for a restart of this race from the very beginning, and
yes, just to remind you about the grid and how it shapes up. So I'll just give you a top 3. So Eddie O'Shea in first, Bailey Stewart Campbell in second, and Ryan Hitchcock in third place. So that's going to be the start of the restart for the race 3 mini GP70. So we might actually see this time round maybe Bailey Stewart Campbell, Leicester, jumping Eddie O'Shea off the line.
I'm not going to make a comment, just in case it turns out to be true, and then the rider usually comes up and says, "Why did you say that?" And then I say, "I don't know."
A slight commentator's curse.
But hello and good luck to all the riders down on the grid on this restarted Mini GP70 race. And this is round one of the 2019 championship at CoolFABRacing. We are the official partner series to the British Superbikes Championship, and the championship is on the road to MotoGP, and we've seen already lots of amazing big names come from this championship paddock, go on to do many great things, and maybe many great people from this race as well we will be hearing from in a couple of years' time, maybe even next year. But riders are on their green flag lap at the moment, and reminder of who's on pole position. Well, it'll be Eddie O'Shea, Bailey Stewart-Campbell lining up alongside him in second place, Ryan Hitchcock in third, Owen Mellor in fourth, Johnny Garness due to launch off in fifth place, James Cook in sixth, James Rose in seventh, Finn Smart was qualified in eighth position, Kyle Payne ninth, Mason Johnson in 10th, Harrison Crosby 11th, Emmanuel Brinton in 12th, Alfie Davidson 13th place with Saffron Watley in 14th, Carter Brown 15th, Thomas Gomez in 16th, Dylan Miller in 17th, Ollie Walker 18th, Jack Kirsch 19th, Joe Farragher in 20th, and Jamie Woodcock rounding out the grid. If that wasn't so, I forget who was pushed off the grid at the original restart. But
not sure. It was something towards the back of the race. I think it could have been maybe Joe Farragher, but we'll have to wait and see. I think we're missing a couple of riders from the fourth row of the grid. James Rose, who missed the session earlier on today, and Finn Smart appears to be. And we just had a rider pull into the pits. Might be a bike trouble. Yeah. But as we get ready for the restart of the Mini GP 70s ago, and once again a fantastic start by Eddie O'Shea. A little bit of a wheelie by Bailey Stewart-Campbell, but he holds second. That is also Ryan Hitchcock into third spot. Owen Mellor just tucked in nicely behind Hitchcock there. As they round the first few corners, Eddie O'Shea is already pulling out a bit of a gap in front of Bailey Stewart-Campbell, Lester.
Definitely so, and it's good to see everybody cleanly off the grid this time round. And as the bikes go out of our view, it's certainly looking like it's pretty close up front, one would hope anyway, but definitely a fight for third emerging, and a huge gaggle of bikes, a train of bikes further down, but yeah, up front.
It's Eddie O'Shea coming in. We've got a move further back. That was a move for about 8th position there. I think that might have been Kyle Payne making a move on Mason Johnson coming across the line. It's Eddie O'Shea, Bailey Stewart-Campbell, Ryan Hitchcock in third place, Owen Mellor fourth, Mason Johnson fifth spot, James Cook in sixth. We have Johnny Garness in eighth, Emmanuel Brinton in eighth spot. I think it was actually Emmanuel Brinton that made the move on Harrison Crosby into the final turn, and Kyle Payne rounds out the top 10 at the moment. Alfie Davidson in 11th, Saffron Watley 12th, Ollie Walker in 13th, Dylan Mellor in 14th, and Jack Kirsch rounding out the top 15 for the moment. So as we come down the back straight for the second time, it's Eddie O'Shea with a commanding lead. That's over about a second and a half. We've got a move for a third position at the moment, and it's tagged the back of him going into the hairpin, but both managed to stay on. That was Ryan Hitchcock and Owen Mellor. Owen Mellor running a bit wide, drops to roughly around about 10th spot there, but very lucky, Lester, that both of them stayed on. Yeah,
it was a good piece of skill for him to stay on the bike as they touched wheels there, Owen Mellor, as you say, but lots of action and drama outside of the top two, but leading at the moment it is Eddie O'Shea, Bailey Stewart-Campbell in second, and then you can literally put a piece of paper in between all of the rest of the bikes in the chasing pack.
Yes, very close towards the back there. It's going to be great to see how Owen Mellor can recover the lost positions there, but the battle for fourth, there's about 5 riders in there. We've got Emmanuel Brinton looking further behind coming down, and we've got a pass for fourth spot at the moment into Raymond's hairpin. That's looking like it could be Emmanuel Brinton moving up to fourth spot. Both James Cook and Ford, get in front of Mason Johnson. Emmanuel Brinton stays in sixth spot as they go through the hook chicane. It's actually looking like very close racing for fourth spot. You've got James Cook, Mason Johnson, Emmanuel Brinton, Johnny Garness and Harrison Crosby in that battle. Only paper covering the top 5 there.
Indeed. Good to see James Cook moving up to fourth place at the moment on the making a move on the, I think it was the final corner from Mason Johnson, taking that position off him, and battles further down the order. Well, Harrison Crosby in 8th place. He has Owen Mellor somewhat right behind him, and Alfie Davidson behind him.
Yes, absolutely. Then we've got another move coming up here into the final hairpin. Once again, in the Raymond's, proving to be an amazing spot for some overtaking action. Coming across the line, number 93, that is Emmanuel Brinton, taking to the 5th spot away from Mason Johnson, who's lost 2 positions in 2 laps at the final turn there. So it's a bit of a weak spot for Mason Johnson. So as they come around the rest of the lap at the moment, still Eddie O'Shea with a 4.3 second advantage over Bailey Stewart Campbell, who only holds a small 1/10 advantage over Ryan Hitchcock. James Cook is a further 1.5 seconds further back. Emmanuel Brinton in 5th. Mason Johnson, Johnny Garness, Harrison Crosby in that battle for 5th spot. Owen Mellor a couple of tenths further back, making a recovery after he nearly tied the back of
I think we might be
Hitchcock.
looking at a move for 2nd position here between Ryan Hitchcock and Bailey Stewart Campbell into the final corner. And out of the final corner, they're almost side by side, coming over the line, and it was Ryan Hitchcock.
Oh, he's pushed him wide, and it's Ryan Hitchcock into 4th, 2nd spot there ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell. Fantastic manoeuvre there, Lester.
It was, and super clean racing as well. Credit to these young riders, and they're definitely learning their racecraft cleanly, which is what we want to see.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're quite glad to see that there's some great racing going out there, but as you said, Leicester is nice and clean. So we've just got a quick rundown of the top 3 so far. We've got Eddie O'Shea in first, 5 seconds in front of Ryan Hitchcock, who just moved up into 2nd position ahead of Bailey Stewart Campbell. James Cook is in 4th place and Emmanuel Brinton is in 5th, but once again it looks like Emmanuel Brinton might be actually closing the gap to the back of the 3rd and 4th places there, so we could be getting a bit of a scrap there. We've got a move into, they've tagged each other down at
a couple of riders down.
Yeah, we've got a couple of riders down. That might have been Johnny Garness and Harrison Crosby there. We'll find out in a second. Mason Johnson and Johnny Garness, that seems to be that might have just gone down there. We've also got an issue.
They're back up on their bikes, however, so they're okay.
Yeah, we're glad they're okay. I think Owen Mellor got involved in that because he's been dropping down the field as well, came across the line slowly. So Owen Mellor down to 11th, Mason Johnson down to 12th, and Johnny Garness in 30th. So they've been caught up in that incident down at Raymond's hairpin. So moving back to the top of the field, still Eddie O'Shea from Ryan Hitchcock, who's still got Bailey Stewart Campbell snapping all over the heels of Ryan Hitchcock there. James Cook a further 2nd back. Emmanuel Brinton has been bridging that gap to James Cook there. We've got a bit of a manoeuvre going on into the final hairpin.
It looks a bit like a 3-way for 2nd position.
It looks like it could be a 4-way pricing with Emmanuel Brinton closing them both down as well. That last lap, you had Ryan Hitchcock and Bailey Stewart Campbell at a 49.9, but James Cook and Emmanuel Brinton a 49.0 and a 49.1 Leicester, so 0.8 of a second have taken out of them there.
Yeah, and we will keep an eye on that 2nd place battle, as you say. Now, slowly emerging to be a 4-bike train. With no disrespect to Ryan Hitchcock, he might seem to be a bit of a cork in a bottle between himself and Emmanuel Brinton, but let's keep an eye on, and indeed, as I mentioned, and there looks to be someone getting a good run out of the penultimate corner down into the last turn.
Yeah, it looked like James Cook went for a pass on Bailey Stewart Campbell, who also went for an overtake on Ryan Hitchcock, but it all remains the same at the moment as they enter the hook chicane. At the moment, as you said, Leicester, it's definitely a cork in the bottom from Ryan Hitchcock, but it's producing some great racing.
I thought I saw the 3rd place rider making a manoeuvre.
It all remains the same at the moment, Leicester, so we've still got Bailey Stewart Campbell in 3rd spot from James Cook and Emmanuel Brinton just behind him, but they're still chasing Ryan Hitchcock. We've got some manoeuvres down the back end of the field at the moment. So for 11th spot, we've got Mason Johnson and Johnny Garness still chasing each other down in 11th and 12th spot there. So it's Johnny Garness and Mason Johnson, even though they've went down together, they've got back up together and they're still battling out for the lower positions.
More fighting for 2nd position. And into the final corner.
We've got a rider down, that is Emmanuel Brinton down at the final corner, just lost the rear end and came round, so he's had a low slide down there. So as they said that, it was James Cook who moved in front of Bailey Stewart Campbell into 3rd spot, and I think Emmanuel Brinton was just trying to get on the power a little bit too early and went down in the final turn, but he's back up, he's okay, he's back in the race, just in front of Owen Mellor, so he comes across the line in 9th spot.
Yeah, good to see the racing action anyway, and James Cook, as you mentioned, moving up 1 spot in that final corner, up to 3rd place now for James Cook. Bailey Stewart Campbell will be looking to correct that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the top 3 might have caught some back markers there, as we've got a group of 4 together. They just, got past the back marker, so it's Ryan Hitchcock, James Cook, and we've got a move here. James Cook late on the brakes in front of Bailey Stewart Campbell. Oh, so close to tagging the back of Ryan Hitchcock as he come across the line to complete another lap. This is turning out to be a fantastic race for second place here. So Bailey Stewart Campbell does seem to be getting the third position back further around the circuit, but as they come into the hairpin, we've definitely got James Cook flying up the inside. Another couple of manoeuvres down towards Raymond's hairpin. That looks to be a couple of manoeuvres as we've got Owen Mellor coming across the line in 11th. It was Mason Johnson diving up the inside of Owen Mellor for 10th position now.
That's a nice three-bike scrap between Brinton, Johnson and Mellor at the moment, so lots of battles developing all through this Mini GP70 field at the moment, including still the fight for second, which rages on heading into the final corner.
Yeah, the final lap is about to come up here, so we've got Ryan Hitchcock from James Cook, Bailey Stewart Campbell for second spot at the moment. Just to come back very quickly, Lester, to the bottom of the top 10, Emmanuel Brinton, Mason Johnson, Owen Mellor and Johnny Garness have all been down the road, but they've managed to get back up and they're all fighting each other for that bottom positions there. So they went down close together, they got back up and they're still racing together, which is quite interesting. So we kind of forgot about our leader, Eddie O'Shea.
Yeah, well, if you were wondering why we've not been mentioning the leader, that's because he's almost 10 seconds, well 9.3 ahead of now second place man James Cook. He is fighting his way to the top. He probably won't be able to get the race win, as it is the last lap.
Yeah, we've got Eddie O'Shea coming around the final turn through Raymond's across the line to take the third race win of the weekend, 3 in a row. That's a hat-trick for Eddie O'Shea, and we've got a final position change on the last lap. We've got James Cook across the line, and we've got Bailey Stewart Campbell challenging Ryan Hitchcock, but it's Ryan Hitchcock who does manage to hold a third position across the line. Bailey Stewart Campbell in fourth spot, Harrison Crosby coming across the line in fifth, Ollie Walker will be coming across the line in sixth spot, Dylan Mellor will have across the line very soon in seventh. But another couple of battles coming down the field, and we've got Emmanuel Brinton coming across the line in ninth spot. Alfie Davidson managed to grab eighth spot, and Johnny Garness in 11th, with Owen Mellor dropping down to 12th. So it was a fantastic, dominant performance by Eddie O'Shea once again. Now, we said that we shouldn't take into account too much of what's happened earlier on this weekend, but that's his biggest winning margin this weekend. So 3 in a row for Eddie O'Shea, and a fantastic second position, a fighting second position for James Cook. Ryan Hitchcock takes the second podium position of the weekend, and we had our previous podium positions of Johnny Garness and Owen Mellor going down in the last few laps there, and Bailey Stewart Campbell just missing out on a podium position. So fantastic racing, Leicester.
Definitely was, and there was something to watch and listen to all the way down the order. And yeah, it was unfortunate for some of the riders who didn't make the finish, but they will be looking to make amends in round 2 at Red Lodge, I believe, in a few weeks' time in April. And April begins tomorrow. Unbelievable that we're almost there, and unbelievable that we're already in the third round of races this weekend in round 1 at Llandow in South Wales for CoolFABRacing, the official partner series to the British Superbikes Championship. Hello and welcome. If you've just tuned in online, my name is Lester, Liam Hodgins is here, and we have Blake Ansell, fellow rider, this afternoon, popping up from time to time to help with commentary in between his races, whilst fixing his bike as well. So yeah, that'll be an interesting, stressful juggle for Blake. We'll keep you abreast of his progress, how he gets on, but not to the detriment of other riders as well. So no favouritism at all here in the commentary box, definitely not. With that being said, any riders here in the paddock that want to come up for an interview, you're more than welcome. Just pop up. We're at upstairs above race control. And yeah, we are moving on next to the AC40 Pro race, which is their third and final race of the weekend, as they
Giving you a quick rundown of how the previous two races looked. In race 1 we had Mason Foster taking the top spot, and he repeated that for race number 2. Ethan Sparks managed to finish in second for race number 2, and Samuel Munson, the Munson burner, managed to finish in third spot. We had Clayton Edmonds and Samuel Munson, who's finished. Samuel Munson has finished third in both races this weekend, but Clayton Edmonds managed to take a second place in race number 1, but had a bit of a harder time in race number 2. So fingers crossed we can see some fantastic action from the AC40 Pro.
So the grid for this third and final race for the AC40 Pro is as follows. Mason Foster starts on pole position, Ethan Sparks in second, Clayton Edmonds in third, Samuel Munson goes off from fourth place, Finn Werity in fifth, Henry McCartney in sixth, Cameron Sewell starts in seventh, Ruben Bray in eighth place, Charlie Huntingford in ninth, then it's Holly Harris in 10th, Warwick Brady 11th place, Keaton Payne starts 12th, Kobe Perry in 13th, Greg Marshall in 14th, and Aston Dean starting this race in 15th position. I get the feeling we are set for maybe the best AC40 Pro race of the weekend.
Yeah, if the previous two races are anything to go by, you know these guys are extremely hungry for success, and we're definitely in for a battle. But it's once again Mason Foster lining up on pole, who has been taking the spoils for both races this weekend, so he'll be looking to convert that into a hat-trick for the start of the race. The green flag goes down, and a fantastic start from second on the grid. Ethan Sparks jumps Mason Foster into the hook. Chicane, we've also got to fifth place there, Finn Werity looking up the inside of to try and get into third spot ahead of Samuel Munson and Clayton Edmonds, but holds back in fifth spot at the moment. So a clean start from all riders through the first couple of corners, but it's still Ethan Sparks that leads away from Mason Foster and of course Clayton Edmonds into turn number 5. We've got a rider down at the bottom of the circuit there, just slid off. He's back up trying to push the bike back on, so we'll see if he can get back in the race in a couple of seconds time. It looks like he's trying to get the bike started again, asking for the marshals to run over, so that we've got a few of them over there and trying to get him started. But as we come onto the hangar straight, it's Ethan Sparks with a bit of a gap in front of Mason Foster, who's also got a bit of a gap in front of Clayton Edmonds and Samuel Munson. Samuel Munson looking up the inside of Clayton Edmonds into the final hairpin, doesn't get it so far, but we've got over the line Ethan Sparks, Mason Foster, Clayton Edmonds, Samuel Munson, Clayton Edmonds in fourth, Henry McCartney and Finn Werity sixth. We've got Cameron Sewell making a spot up on the first lap ahead of Holly Harris in 8th, Keaton Payne in 9th, Kobe Perry in 10th, Warwick Brady 11th and Greg Marshall in 12th so far. Aston Dean in 13th ahead of Ruben Bray and Charlie Huntingford running at the top 15 for the moment, as we've got the next rider across the line. And yes, it was actually Ruben Bray that went down on the first lap, and Charlie Huntingford is up to 14th spot. So as the riders come around the second half of the second lap, Mason Foster slightly closing the gap on Ethan Sparks as we head onto the back straight once again. It looks like Mason Foster does struggle to get onto the back straight as quickly as Ethan Sparks does, open up a bit of a gap, but there might be a move for third position going on. Not at the moment. Clayton Edmonds does hold back from Samuel Munson for the time being across the line to start lap number 3. So we've got Ethan Sparks, Mason Foster, who just pumped in the fastest lap of the race, a 53.1 Leicester.
Definitely, it's looking good, certainly for Mason Foster. He is in the position, the best position to make advantage, as we got a brief yellow flag down on the far side of the track. Wasn't able to see what that was for, hopefully not any of our leaders, hopefully. But yeah, Mason Foster over the line in second, setting the fastest lap, as you mentioned, a 53.182 second.
Yes, absolutely. Mason Foster continues to close on Ethan Sparks further round at this lap. Clayton Edmonds in fourth spot, still chasing down Samuel Munson. We've got a couple of riders down at the chicane. It looks like it could be
3 riders, in fact.
It looks like it could be the battle between Finn Werity, Cameron Sewell and Holly Harris, so fingers crossed that they're okay. Most of them seem up on the bikes again and trying to push them back. We've also got a rider down coming at the final turn on the start-finish straight.
Unable to see what number that is.
That's 146. That's Clayton Edmonds down. He's out of fourth spot. That's such a shame for Clayton Edmonds, putting in a strong performance, chasing down the third place of Samuel Munson. That's a horrible shame for Clayton Edmonds, as he was looking for a strong performance. But as we get back to the start of the top of the race, it's still Ethan Sparks in front of Mason Foster, it looks like the riders that did go down a little bit earlier on at the Del Chicane are up. They're sitting in a tyre barrier. I think one of them did manage to get back into the race, but coming along the back straight, the leaders are still the same, status quo. Ethan Sparks still in first spot. Mason Foster is chasing him down every inch of the way. We've got Samuel Munson in third, a very lonely third at the moment. Henry McCartney in fourth, and Holly Harris has moved her way up into fifth spot.
Yeah, the fight for the lead is where it's at after all that drama on the previous lap. It's a new fastest lap for Mason Foster, 52.934, and that decreases the gap between him and the race leader Ethan Sparks to just 0.3 of a second. What can he do on this lap though?
It looks like what he can do is definitely hound him for a little bit longer before he tries to make an overtake on Ethan Sparks. So as they come around the second part of the lap, as I say that, it completely changes. Mason Foster has taken Ethan Sparks towards the Del Chicane along the back straight. Can we see Ethan Sparks try and get a move on Mason Foster into the Raymond's hairpin for the start of lap number 6, I believe. So it looks like Mason Foster does have that covered into the hairpin. Across start finish, let's see a new fast lap, not quite. A 1/10 of a second off what Mason Foster has done so far, fastest lap time wise. We've got Samuel Munson coming across the line in a lonely third spot at the moment, but then again he is getting hunted down by Henry McCartney, who was 4/10 faster on that lap there.
Yeah, a couple of riders who went down on the previous laps have got back up and rejoined the race. But as you say, great for Mason Foster to get into the lead of this race. But can Ethan Sparks do anything about it?
It's looking tough for Ethan Sparks there. We might be able to see Mason Foster pull a bit of a gap through the Del. Mason Foster has opened up what looks to be about half a second advantage over Ethan Sparks coming down into the Raymond hairpin. Once again, Samuel Munson is currently holding off Henry McCartney across the start-finish line. It's a new fastest lap from Mason Foster, a 52.6. I said it was nearly half a second gap. It's actually turned into nearly a second gap. He was 0.6 faster than the chasing Ethan Sparks on that previous lap, Lester.
Yeah, the gap's starting to spread out a little bit now. As you mentioned, almost a second between first and second place, and Sam Munson quite a way back in third place.
Sorry to jump in there, Lester. We've just had another rider down at the chicane there, back up on the bike, and rider is okay. Not quite sure who that was there, but at the hook chicane we did have a rider go down. So Mason Foster continues to extend the gap, just passing some bag markers there, putting a couple of riders in between himself and Ethan Sparks. So it looks like Mason Foster is starting to control this race.
Final lap for about to be declared for these riders. One lap left, and well, Mason Foster increasing his gap once more. 1.3 seconds is the gap to second place now.
Yes, gap to second place. Samuel Munson just comes across the line there, and looks like he's put a bit of a gap in front of Henry McCartney, as we've got a couple of other riders coming across the line there. It looks like Henry McCartney, something might have happened to him. He's dropped a bag 11 seconds further behind Samuel Munson on that lap there, so don't know what happened to Henry McCartney. I think Henry was the one that went down at the hook, so he managed to still stay in fourth position. So coming around the final lap, we do have Mason Foster still in the commanding lead, holding off Ethan Sparks at the moment. So as we see them coming towards the end of the lap, it's going to be Mason Foster through the final hairpin, and Ethan Sparks, try as he might, cannot get close enough. As he comes across the line, Mason Foster takes a hat-trick of wins in the AC40 Pros, and we've got Ethan Sparks in second. Samuel Munson is the next to come across the line as he enters the Raymond hairpin at the moment. As we come across the line, it's going to be Samuel Munson taking the final podium spot for the Junior AC40 Pros. We're just going to wait for Henry McCartney to come up next along. He'll be in fourth spot. Still manages a great ride to stay in fourth after he fell off, so he comes across the line holding fourth spot. Finnan Werity is going to be next up in fifth. We're expecting Holly Harris after that, but finishers at the moment, Ruben Bray in 11th, Aston Dean a lap down as well in 12th position. To come across the line, Finnan Werity does pick up fifth ahead of Holly Harris. Fantastic ride by both of them, and coming at the final turn, it's a bit of a battle for 7th spot. It's Colby Perry who picked it up in front of Keaton Payne. Colby Perry pulled a fantastic mover on Keaton Payne around the final lap. Charlie Huntingford in 9th, Warwick Brady in 10th, Ruben Bray in 11th, and Ashton Dean in 12th. Unfortunately, we've lost from that race Clayton Edmonds, Cameron Sewell, and Greg Marshall.
It was a fantastic result, especially for, as you mentioned, just over the line in that foursome, Kobe Perry. He started this race in 13th place, and albeit, yes, there were a few DNFs along the way, but still good to see him making all the right moves up the field. So, final race done for the AC40 Pros this weekend, and the next time they will be racing in the CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship will be at round 2 at Red Lodge, and we tentatively await the next batch of riders to come out, which are the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team race, the third final races for these guys. Big hello to Michelle Kinnaird and everybody else who's been in touch on our social media streams as well today. You may, if you're tuned in live on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or YouTube or Motorsport Radio, anywhere basically, you may see your name flashing up on the screen along with your face. Nice little addition. Just anyway. So this is live radio coverage. If you're wondering where the cameras were, well, that's why, because it's just radio. Yeah,
absolutely. We've got lots of radio coverage to give you, and we're going to be giving you a rundown of the order very soon. But we've had a couple of races so far this weekend from the Pit Bikes 140 and Moto Team. Ben Bailey picking up both race wins so far this weekend in the Pit Bike 140, and Hudson Kenna, you may remember that name. You may have heard that name before. He's been in the British Superbike paddock over the years, and of course I'm going to drop this fact once again, Lester. He was also the runner-up in the 2008 British Supersport Championship. So Hudson Kenna was mixing it amongst the Pit Bike 140 class and been leading the moto teams for the past few races.
He's quickly becoming my hero, the way you talk about him. Anyway, the sound of the Pit Bike 140 and Moto Team class as they go for their green flag warm-up lap, and the well, I didn't notice that Charlie Nesbitt was in his second place pit box. That's because he wasn't. But Ben Bailey will be starting this race on pole position. Charlie Nesbitt due to start in second position. Maybe he'll turn up at the back of the grid last minute, maybe. Matthew Bolsover will start from third. Harvey Claridge in fourth. Blake Ansell due to start in fifth place. Well, he qualified there. Jamie King from sixth place. Hudson Kenna in seventh. Ian Jackson set to line up in the 8th place. Jordan Smith in 9th. Simon Clowes in 10th. Scott Dootson set to, well, he qualified in 11th. Mark Pollitt 12th. John Petit 13th. Bernie Hook in 14th. Sean Whittaker in 15th. Mike Carr in 16th. Gary O'Keefe in 17th. Ben O'Keefe next to him in 18th. Daniel Gilbert in 19th. Neil Kinnaird in 20th. Alistair Kinnaird 21st. Roger Monks 22. Felix Hurd in 23rd, Harrison O'Keefe in 24th place, Keith Bolton in 25th place, 26th place Vince Bailey, and 27 riders. This massive grid is lined up by Trevor Jones at the back.
Just to give you a quick bit of information, Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt will be starting at the back. So as the riders get ready for the start of the final race of the day, green flag is down, and it's a great start by Ben Bailey into turn number 1, sitting pretty there on the first row of the grid by himself. It's Matthew Bolsover into third spot, and Harvey Claridge, Matthew Bolsover into second spot, and Harvey Claridge into third. So we've had a bit of bumping and boring. Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt both making up a few positions at the start there. So it looks like a fantastic start for both of them towards the back of the grid. And fingers crossed, Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt won't have any big troubles in this race, Lester.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, we don't want to certainly jinx anything, but yeah, Matthew Bolsover now chasing down Ben Bailey, and Harvey Claridge trying not to be left out. He is currently in third place at the moment, and we will keep an eye on the towards the back as well. As you mentioned, Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt both starting at the back of this field, and already I noticed them making up a handful of positions.
Yes, absolutely. As we look to back towards the battle for first, it looks like Matthew Bolsover got a fantastic run out of the final turn up the inside of Ben Bailey. Ben Bailey holds it around the outside of Matthew Bolsover. So very, very different lines coming out of the final hairpin there, with Matthew Bolsover taking a much tighter line, and of course we had Ben Bailey taking a much tighter line coming out of the final hairpin. But we've got a lot of riders moving up the fields. No Of course we have Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt moving up a handful of spots on the first lap and a bit. So we've had an issue with one of the riders at the back just coming across the lane, but Ben Bailey still leads the way in front of Matthew Bolsover, and we've got Harvey Cloud bridging that gap to the leader. So you'll know who Harvey Cloud is. He's wearing one of the British Talent Cup racing suits, Lester. Definitely, and keeping an eye on the front runners at the final turn at the moment, heading over the line to start their next lap. It is still Ben Bailey with Matthew Bolsover and Harvey Claridge in third place, and Jamie King following in fourth place. And the leader of the Moto team class, it is Hudson Kenner, followed by Simon Clowes in second and Mark Pollitt in third. They are your top three in Moto team right now. And they're doing very well in the Moto team class so far. It looks like Hudson Kenner is trying to tag onto the back of the Pit Big 140. How do you say it? The 4 and is it quadruple? Quadruple? the quadrants, whatever you want to say about them. The Grand Slam. The Grand Slam. The top 4 anyway, we'll say that. Ben Bailey, Matthew Bolsover, Harvey Cloud, Jamie King just in front of the first position rider in the Moto team, which is Hudson Kenner. So as they come along the back straight once again, the hanger straight into Raymond, Matthew Bolsover has got in front of Ben Bailey somewhere around that lap. Ben Bailey looking up the inside of Bolsover, doesn't go for the gap. But once again, Harvey Cloud, it looks like he's pushing quite hard to try and stay with them coming into the start of the next lap. We've got Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt making a few moves up the inside as we move into Raymond's hairpin. Not quite yet, but Blake Ansell might get a run across the line on the number 65 as he comes through the final corner. And they've already moved up to 9th. Into the top 10, both of them. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic riding from both of them so far. Charlie Nesbitt just made a move on Blake Ansell. He's up to 9th spot. Blake Ansell down to 10th at the moment. Looking really, really interesting, and their tactic. And there's been an incident down on the far side. At least one rider down, yellow flag, and I can't see from my position. They do seem to be back on their feet and picking their bike up, but unfortunate for whoever that is. We might see them dropping down the timing. But up front then, it is Matthew Bolsover still leading from Ben Bailey on lap number 5 by less than half a second right now. Super close. Harvey Claridge with in third. Jamie King keeping a watching brief in fourth, with the Hudson Kenner in 5th place at the moment. I think it was Mark Pollitt that fell off down at the bottom end, possibly getting tangled up with Charlie Nesbitt and Blake Ansell as they're making their way through the field. So Charlie Nesbitt in 8th, Blake Ansell in 9th, John Petit in 10th spot, running at the top 10 for the moment. But Matthew Bolsover is making a bit of a break, or trying to anyway, but as he gets stuck behind a couple of back markers, that gap is closing right back up again. Ben Bailey heading down to Raymond's, might make a move, go for a move up the inside as he makes a way past the back markers, a little bit wide for Ben Bailey. Matthew Bolsover makes it back up the inside as they come through across the line once again to start lap number 6, Lester. Super clean racing as well, and negotiating people further down the order. And Harvey Claridge got the fastest lap of the race so far on that last lap, a 50.382 second. Harvey Claridge closing the gap to Ben Bailey now, and well, they've all got to manage traffic, which is a skill in and of itself, not only to keep the person behind you, but try and make your way forward as well. Absolutely. As they make their way into the Dell chicane, still Matthew Bolsover ahead of Ben Bailey. Harvey Claridge looks like he's getting dropped ever so slightly from the top 2, but it looks like Ben Bailey is shaping up Matthew Bolsover for a move into the final hairpin. Once again, he has done up the inside. Will he run wide coming out the corner? He does do. Matthew Bolsover gets on the gas nice and early across the start finish line, side by side, and it looks like Matthew Bolsover just set up very slightly just to let Ben Bailey back ahead of him. So a little bit of playing going on out there. Certainly from Charlie Nesbitt, he was trying to do a plank, I think, on his bike. He was literally lying down on his bike. He's him and Blake Ansell glued together. He's seemingly just having a bit of fun, making their way and making it seem so easy, as Charlie Nesbitt now in 7th place, Blake in 8th place, and they've just passed Simon Clowes, who is in 9th place but 2nd in the Moto team. Yes, absolutely. As you said, Charlie Nesbitt is having a lot of fun out there. Him and Blake Ansell are actually mates. So during the off-season, Blake Ansell lost his team kit, got stolen from the back of the van. Charlie Nesbitt gave Blake Ansell his racing suit, so that was really nice of Charlie Nesbitt. But Blake Ansell is back ahead of him as we watch Ben Bailey still leading as they cross the line into the hook chicane ahead of Matthew Bolsover. And once again, I thought he was getting dropped, but Harvey Claridge has closed back up again.
Yeah, they both have Jay King, who's somewhat dropped back a bit now. He's still in 4th place and kind of on his own out on track at the moment. Hudson Kenner in 5th place, and Blake Ansell just getting ahead of Charlie Nesbitt on that last lap, with Jordan Smith ahead of them, having a relatively quiet race in 6th place so far.
Yes, absolutely, as they come back on
yellow
to
flags
the
down
back
at
straight.
the
Yes, we do have yellow flags down at the bottom end of the circuit. They've gone away now, I believe, so not sure who that was for, but maybe the rider might be back up and okay. But as the leaders complete another lap, it's Ben Bailey ahead of Matthew Balsover. Harvey Cloud still in 3rd spot there. In actual fact, Harvey Cloud just disappeared.
He's gone, and
I think it might have been Harvey.
Was...
Yeah, it might have been Harvey Cloud that went down at the bottom end of the circuit, which is a shame because he was having a fantastic ride. He's in the mix between Harvey Cloud. Looks like he's in the mix of Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt across the line. And we've got Blake Ansell 6th, Harvey Cloud 7th, and Charlie Nesbitt in 8th position now. So he's got back up. He's in the mix with with Blake Ansell and Charlie Nesbitt. So fingers crossed that he can get a positive result out of that that misdemeanor that happened.
Well, it looks like at the moment Jay King is in 3rd place, and he is set for his at least his 2nd podium of the weekend if he continues to do what he's doing already at the moment, which is just stay on the bike, have a nice smooth calm race, and bring it home in 3rd. But yeah, a couple of laps left to go, 3 more laps left to go.
I was saying that Hudson Ken has actually been bridging the gap back to Jamie King in the last couple of laps. They're just bridging it by 10th here, there and everywhere. So Ben Bailey still leading the way ahead of Matthew Balsover, and 2/10 of a second between both of them. Lap times, their best lap times, very similar. We've got Blake Ansell and Harvey Cloud, Charlie Nesbitt crossing the line in 6th, 7th and 8th position. Very close racing between them as well. But as the leaders come round to end the 2nd part of this lap, it's still Matthew Balsover who has actually got in front of Ben Bailey at the bottom end of the circuit, heading down the Spitfire Straight or the Hanger Straight, whatever you want to call it, and they're both looking around each other, just sort of waving each other past. Matthew Balsover saying, "After you." Ben Bailey's like, no, I don't want to jump past you just yet, Lester."
It reminds me of when you trying to get a good run out in qualifying, and you're trying to let the other person past, maybe. But yeah, a few games being played at the moment by Bailey and Balsover. They're still 1st and 2nd. James King in 3rd place, Hudson Kenner in 4th at the moment, and it is looking like a big group of bikes in that overall fight for 4th place.
Absolutely, it looks like Blake Ansell, Charlie Nesbitt and of course Harvey Cloud are catching that big gaggle of bag markers at the moment. But as we can see down the back straight, Matthew Balsover just popping some wheelies in 2nd position there behind Ben Bailey. Ben Bailey's leading the way ahead of Matthew Balsover. Is he once again going to try and settle for 2nd?
Well, I don't believe that would be any rider's intention before any race. But last lap at the moment, and it is Ben Bailey, as you mentioned, who is leading over the line from Matthew Balsover, and maybe this is now where they will start to get serious, and maybe Matthew Balsover might send one up the inside, as other people are doing down at the final corner.
As looking further around the lap, Ben Bailey does have a bit of a bike advantage over Matthew Balsover at the moment. There's a couple of bike lengths in it. We've still got Jamie King, the forgotten Jamie King at the moment. He's having a bit of a lonely race in 3rd spot, just ahead of Moto Team. 1st position, Hudson Kenner, who's overall in 4th, Jordan Smith in 5th, Blake Ansell in 6th, Harvey Cloud so far in 7th, Charlie Nesbitt 8th, Simon Clowes in 9th, and John Petit in 10th so far.
As we've got John Petit just pulling over to one side, he's called it quits.
Yeah, we've got the leaders coming through the final corner. Looks like it's going to be Ben Bailey picking up another one as he pulls a wheelie across the line. Matthew Balsover in 2nd place. Both look very happy with the results, and as we wait, Jamie King coming through the final corner. He does so now to pick up a fantastic 3rd spot. Hudson Ken is across the line next in 4th, and we've got a fantastic gaggle of riders. It looks like Blake Ansell, Harvey Cloud's battling away, getting through the bag markers, coming across the line. It's going to be Jordan Smith. Jordan Smith just holds out for Blake Ansell in 6th.
Wow.
Only just. 2/10 of a second between Jordan Smith and Harvey Cloud, 1/10 further back there. Charlie Nesbitt finishes in 8th. Simon Clowes that we're waiting for to come round in 9th spot, and Ben O'Keefe finishes in 10th place there. So Simon Clowes just comes across the line there in 9th. Alistair Kinnaird is in 11th. We've got Neil Kinnaird in 12th. Daniel Gilbert in 13th. Harrison O'Keefe in 14th, and Mike Carr, who's riding a bike, in 15th spot. Just stole your bit of patter there.
Exactly. Lots of wheelies and celebrations from Ben Bailey and Charlie Nesbitt showing some flair, his traditional usual flair. I saw him literally lying down, coming down the back straight on his bike whilst overtaking people. Well, you wouldn't get away with that in BSB in that paddock, and he's doing it again. Unbelievable.
It is a good old-fashioned plank. I think that's a little bit out of date, Charlie.
Still, it's nice to see. Only if you don't. Only if you don't fall off and make yourself look like a plank. Yeah. So show off, yes, nice, but yeah. Anyway, well done to all the riders in that race, and the next time we'll be hearing from them will be at round 2 at Red Lodge, not in Spain, but down south, further down south. Well, if you're from up north, as Liam Hodgins is, anyway, everything's down south.
Yeah, so far north that I feel like I'm at the North Pole.
So thank you very much to James Ansell, tuned in. Says, great race, guys. Well done, son. Referring to Blake Ansell. Yes, James making his way over to Spain, I think it is, to help with
Max
Cook and the there's so many things he's doing this year. Max Cook, he's
racing in the Red Bull Rookies. There's CEV Junior World Championship as well, so we'll be keeping a close eye out on what he'll be doing in 2019. Hopefully he'll come along to the paddock at some point and maybe do what Charlie Nesbitt's doing some planking along the back straight.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe Charlie Nesbitt should take up a second career in bike acrobatics, maybe as a stunt rider. Who knows?
I mean, all those action films will need a stunt rider, so Charlie Nesbitt could definitely take that up as well. So we've got the Junior C40 Elite class up next, and it's been a Johnny Garness affair at the moment. He's been taking both race wins so far this weekend. Race 1 saw Mason Foster finish in second spot ahead of Josh Bannister. In the second race, Sullivan Mounsey stayed on to finish the second ahead of Josh Bannister, who's picked up 2 third positions at the moment.
As they go on to their green flag warm-up lap, the pole position man is Johnny Garness for this race. Sullivan Mounsey due to start in second place. Josh Bannister will go off from third. Mason Foster in fourth. Ronnie Harris in fifth. Emmanuel Brinton in sixth. Sam Munson, 7th place. Ethan Sparks in P8 with Cameron Sewell in 9th. Taylor Stewart Campbell in 10th. Charlie Huntingford in 11th place. Ruben Bray in 12th. Keaton Payne 13th place. Warwick Brady P14 and Kobe Perry in 15th place on the grid. You are listening to live radio coverage online, streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Motorsport Radio, CoolFABRacing, and also podcast available straight away after we've gone off air on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the usual places. So basically we're streaming in all over the globe.
We are the globe. We're taking over. What is Stitcher, by the way?
It's another podcast thing.
I've heard of it before. So we've got the riders on the grid. They are preparing for their final race of the weekend, final race of their day.
LC40 Elite.
The LC40 Elite class. And will be another Johnny Garness. He's looking to pick up a hat-trick of wins this weekend. So the green flag is up. And it's down. It's a fantastic start by Johnny Garness, once again launching off the line in front of Sullivan Mounsey. Josh Bannister slotting into third position there ahead of Mason Foster. So it is as you were off the starting lane, with Johnny Garness completely getting a fantastic launch. As we head round the first couple of corners, it's still Johnny Garness getting chased hard by Sullivan Mounsey for the first few corners, and we've got Josh Bannister still in third position at the moment. Through the bottom end of the circuit, Sullivan Mounsey did go for a lead change there, but he had to hold back as Johnny Garness chopped off his nose going through the bottom end of the circuit. Coming up to the Dale along the back straight, we're going to be heading into Raymond's hairpin. Can Sullivan Mounsey mount a charge on Johnny Garness?
He's very close.
He's going for it. He's going for it up the inside of Johnny Garness. Sullivan Mounsey is in the lead, but will he run wide coming out the corner? He's held it so far. He's in first position. The 44 of Sullivan Mounsey leads onto lap 2 in front of Johnny Garness, but Johnny Garness is going to try and round the outside at the hook. He manages to hold it back just for the moment. Mason Foster's made a couple of positions positions. He's in 3rd place at the moment. Ronnie Harris in 4th, Emmanuel Brinton 5th, Samuel Munson in 6th place. Josh Bannister has dropped down a few positions around that first lap. Taylor Stuart Campbell in 8th, Henry McCartney in 9th, and Charlie Huntingford rounds out the top 10 for the moment.
Yeah, still Sullivan Mounsey leading, but he's just being challenged by Johnny Garness as they re-emerge into our view from the back of the circuit, and they're almost glued together. Can Garness get a better run down out of the final penultimate corner? Is he going to make a challenge into the last corner? Yes, he is, and yes, he gets the lead. So,
but Sullivan Mounsey's come back at him side by side across the line, but Johnny Garness still holds it into the hook. It's a close. What hard action out here at the moment is fantastic to watch at the moment. So it's Sullivan Mounsey slotting into 2nd behind Johnny Garness, and we might just see a lead change every single time they come into the Raymond's Hairpin, Leicester. Very
close between them, almost side by side over the line, and the gap between Garness and Mounsey at the front of the field is 0.089 of a second, and that is going to play out certainly at the rest of this lap, as I can see that they are equally as close coming to the back chicane.
Yeah, they seem to be dropping the rest of the pack at the moment. Mason Foster came across the line 2.2 seconds further behind. Ronnie Harris is right on the back of Mason Foster at the moment, maybe leading for a gap at the moment. Not quite yet, but it looks like Johnny Garness has opened up a bit of advantage this lap, setting a 51.047 second lap as he stretched the gap up to half a second through lap number 3 there. So Johnny Garness is doing what he's been doing in the previous 2 races there.
Also, lots of fighting happening further down the order as well, with looks like maybe Keaton Payne, Warwick Brady and Kobe Perry all fighting for position towards the remaining positions, and it is Keaton Payne in 12th, Warwick Brady in 13th and Kobe Perry in 14th for now.
Yes, absolutely. It looked like Kobe Perry did try and go for an inside manoeuvre on Warwick Brady into the hook chicane, but once again Johnny Garness is leading onto the back straight, but Sullivan Mounsey does look like he's closed the gap ever so slightly. Johnny Garness takes a tighter line into Raymond's Hairpin. We've got Sullivan Mounsey taking a little bit of a wider approach into the hairpin, and he has closed the gap. In actual fact, he's actually lost a 10th of a second on that lap there. Mason Foster still in 3rd spot, a full 4 seconds back of Johnny Garness, with Ronnie Harris just only 4/10 back of Mason Foster at the moment. Emmanuel Brinton sitting lonely in 5th spot at the moment, 3.2 seconds further back of Ronnie Harris. Josh Bannister in 6th spot at the moment, as we're looking back down the field towards Keaton Payne, Warwick Brady and Kobe Perry, who are still tied together, with Warwick Brady looking like he's still trying to hold off the ever-advancing Kobe Perry into the hook chicane.
And 2nd place has had a bit of a tumble down at the back chicane. That looked to be Sullivan Mounsey. He got straight back up on his bike again, but the pressure is off for Mr. Garness up front.
Yeah, Garness has lost the ever-growing pressure that was Sullivan Mounsey. Mounsey looks like he's back on the bike in 4th spot. Mason Foster comes across the line in 2nd, ahead of Ronnie Harris. Mounsey comes across the line, he is in 4th spot, and we've got Josh Bannister, who's making up for a bit of a horrible start. He's now in 5th spot, ahead of Emmanuel Brinton. Samuel Munson comes across the line in 7th. Taylor Stuart Campbell and Henry McCartney are very close together as they approach the hook chicane. But once again, we're looking back to the battle of Keaton Payne, Warwick Brady and Kobe Perry. We've got another yellow flag out. That looks like it could have been someone within the 7th or 8th spot, but they're back on the bike, back in the race, and hopefully not too many positions lost.
Still these 3 fighting at the back, Keaton Payne, Warwick Brady and Kobe Perry. No change in position, but yeah, there's only I would say less than a second separating the remaining 3 positions in this race, 12th, 13th and 14th at the moment.
Absolutely, as they come across the line, it looks like Ronnie Harris has actually closed the gap on Mason Foster ever so slightly. He has done, he took 2/10 of a second out of him there, but Sullivan Mounsey looks like he's closing back in on both of them, taking a full second out of Mason Foster around the start of that lap. Josh Bannister still in 5th, Emmanuel Brinton 6th, Samuel Munson and Samuel Munson as the one that went down earlier on in the lap. He's dropping down the field across the line very shortly. Taylor Stuart Campbell in 7th, Henry McCartney in 8th spot. We have Samuel Munson in 9th, Charlie Huntingford 10th. Ruben Bray's going to come across the line in 11th, but we still have the battle raging on for 12th spot at the moment. It's Keaton Payne just holding off Warwick Brady, and we've got Kobe Perry a couple of tenths further back behind them. But as the leaders, Johnny Garness, approach the back markers, they might have to move it away, which is going to ruin what has been a fantastic battle between the bottom three.
Still with 2 laps left to go in this race then, it's a 5.8 second lead for Johnny Garness. Mason Foster a half a second ahead of Ronnie Harris. Can Ronnie do...
Oh, we've had someone down at the hook chicane. I think that might have been Emmanuel Brinton. Once again, just launching it down there. He's slowly getting back up to his feet, but yeah, he's back up on his feet, walking over to the bike, so he seems to be okay at the moment. But that's such a shame down at the hook chicane right there. But I was just going to say, we're looking at Sullivan Mounsey, who did fall off at the Dell chicane, and he's back on the bike, chasing down at Mason Foster and Ronnie Harris. He's only 1.2 seconds further back with a lap and a half to go. We've had someone else down at the chicane again, so that chicane is looking to be problematic at the moment for these bikes.
It's challenging, I think. Yeah, as riders now head on to their last lap. Johnny Garness beginning his last lap, and Mason Foster and Ronnie Harris now closing that gap between himself and second place man, Mason Foster.
Yeah, but Sullivan Mounsey has taken nearly a full second out of both of them on that lap. He's right on the back of the group in 4th spot, so he may be able to grab second place back again. As we say that, Sullivan Mounsey's down again down at the bottom end of the circuit. That leaves Mason Foster and of course Ronnie Harris to settle for 2nd and 3rd spot, so that's such a shame for Sullivan Mounsey down at the bottom end of the hairpin there. But he's back up on his feet. He just looks more dejected than anything else, so that's a horrible, horrible turn of events for Sullivan Mounsey. But as Johnny Garness completes the last corner, he's coming round to complete the last lap, it's going to be another Johnny Garness win, picking up 3 wins out of 3. Another hat-trick we've seen today, popping a wee wheelie on one of these junior LC40 elite bikes. Fantastic ride by Johnny Garness. Mason Foster comes across the line in 2nd spot. Ronnie Harris completes the podium in 3rd. Great battle all the way to the line between Ronnie Harris and Mason Foster. We've got Josh Bannister, who worked his way up from a bad start to finish in 4th spot there, and unfortunately we did lose Sullivan Mounsey on the last lap. We're just having the last few runners and riders coming past the start finish line now. We could be seeing Henry McCartney coming across the line any second now. Henry McCartney finishes in 5th spot. We're waiting for Charlie Huntingford, Samuel Munson, Ruben Bray to finish the line. We've got the last couple of riders coming through the final turn at the moment. Across the line, it's going to be the number 44 of Sullivan Mounsey, who once again fell off for a second time but remounted to finish his 6th spot. Fantastic ride by Sullivan Mounsey to get 6th spot. Charlie Huntingford in 7th, Samuel Munson in 8th place there, and coming across the line to complete the race is Ruben Bray in 9th. Keaton Payne in 10th spot, he was a lap down. Warwick Brady was also a lap down. Kobe Perry managed to finish in 12th, so the race, and Emmanuel Brinton and Taylor Stewart Campbell managed to not complete the race towards the end there, Lester.
Yeah, it was another, even though there was only 14 riders in total in that race, still action-packed, I would say. Lots of events happening and riders going for various tumbles as seemingly someone stopped on the final chicane.
Yeah, I think we've had a couple of riders stop at the end of the lap there. That could have been Emmanuel Brinton and Taylor Stewart Campbell, and they'll just be coming into the pit, so it's such a shame for them.
Certainly, but they'll have the next 3 races to make it all up, and they will happen at Red Lodge in a few weeks' time. I think 4 weeks from now at Red Lodge in, I think, Bury St Edmunds. That's where it is. Apologies if that's wrong. But you are listening to live radio coverage of the 2019 CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship. Hello and welcome. Next out on track is the 3rd and final race for the senior mini motos, and always an action-packed, drama-filled race for these big men on little bikes. And this will be interesting.
Yes,
I think definitely. Yeah. There was a lot of games between I think it was Birkin and Hook. Yeah, in race 2.
Yeah, it was a good wee fight in race 2 between Bernie Hook and Matt Birkin, who have both won one race apiece this weekend, and both finished in second in each of those races as well. In the first race we had Andy Whedon taking the third spot, and in the second race we had Rob Petit finishing in third spot. So they've taken the spoils so far this weekend in the class. Now it's definitely shaping up to be another fantastic battle between Matt Birkin and Bernie Hook, which we don't know who's going to come out on top in either one of these races so far.
Now I've got a theory, maybe that Hook chicane is actually named after Bernie Hook because he's, I don't know, so good at navigating his way around. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I suspect not though, maybe it's not. But
well, you say that, Lester, you probably lose the race on that chicane with a last lap pass from Matt Birkin, so we hope you haven't jinxed him already.
So we're expecting a fantastic race from all these guys in the Senior Minimoto third and final race, and we are going to expect lots of drama, lots of action, lots of racing, and a bit of cheekiness as well as they get onto their green flag lap. Pole position for the final Senior Minimoto race of the weekend will be Matt Birkin. Bernie Hook starts in second position, Andy Whedon in third place, Josh Birkin in fourth, Simon Huntingford in fifth, Chris Yeomans in sixth, Rob Petit in seventh, Craig Ashall in 8th, Ross Michael in 9th, Mitch Hollingsby in 10th, Robert Kitley in 11th, and Neil Skinner due to round out the grid in 12th place. So let it be known that these guys do take their racing extremely seriously. It's not just a bit of fun, even though it might look from time to time rather hilarious, some of the things that these guys do.
I mean, even on the warm-up lap, they're racing down the back straight. I think they think this might be the race so far. These
guys are literally athletes. They're like coiled springs, ready to get underway into this final race.
I thought you were going to say something like a flexi mat there, Lester. Whatever that could be. So we've got the leaders.
A few last-minute tactics between the front row. So I'll let you go into turn one. Yeah, okay, sure, no problem. And then you pass me back, yeah, that sort of thing.
They're just trying to psych each other out, but we're ready for the start of the race. All 12 riders, I say all 12 riders, but it looks like we've got Chris Yeomans missing from the 6th spot on the grid, but the green flag goes down. It's a fantastic start from Matt Birkin, but I say it's a fantastic start. Bernie Hook does take the lead through the Hook chicane, named after the Hook man himself. I don't know, it could be that. But we've got Bernie Hook leading the way from Matt Birkin. I think it's Andy Whedon in 3rd spot. Josh Birkin has dropped a spot down to 4th. Simon Huntingford, I believe, is in 5th spot at the moment. But it looks like, as we've seen in previous races so far, today and yesterday, that Bernie Hook does build up an initial advantage ahead of Matt Birkin, but Matt Birkin might just slowly close that back up again. So a great start by Bernie Hook and Matt Birkin, who are both gapping 3rd spot at the moment, which looks to be Andy Whedon. So we could be on for a classic Matt Birkin and Bernie Hook race.
Yeah, certainly, and maybe that was the tactics that they were arranging seemingly on the start grid before the race, as over the line they come to end the first lap, and it is the captain Bernie Hook who is leading from Matt Birkin in 2nd place, and you're right, Andy Whedon was in 3rd, Josh Birkin 4th.
We've had a rider off the track at the Hook chicane. He's back on the track, so it was just a small moment there from, I think it might have been Simon Huntingford or Ross Michael.
We will see on the next lap as the times filter through, but as they came over the line that time round, Simon Huntingford was in 6th place, Ross Michael was 7th, Neil Skinner in 8th place, Craig Ashall 9th, Mitch Hollingsby in 10th, and Robert Kitley in 11th place. With 8 laps to go, and it's very, very close up front with Hook and Bernie Hook and Matt Birkin almost side by side, coming down the back straight into the final turn, Liam.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Birkin's going for a move up the inside of Hook. He has done it, so is he going to run a little bit wide? Is Bernie Hook going to get a momentum past him again across the line? Bernie Hook still holds the lead ahead of Matt Birkin. Andy Whedon crosses the line in 3rd, and we've got them coming through the Hook chicane side by side, nose to tail. It's going to be some fantastic battling through there. It looks like it might have been Josh Birkin that might have gone down or off the track slightly a lap ago, but he's back on track in 6th spot, so he only lost a couple of positions there. But I want to give a special shout out to Neil Skinner, who made a fantastic start, going from 12th all the way up to 8th on the first lap, dropped down to 9th at the moment, but once again a great start by Neil Skinner at the start of this senior mini moto race. As we look around towards the end of this lap, it looks like Matt Birkin has got in front of Bernie Hook as we hit hits the back straight, the hanger straight, as we like to call it, or the Spitfire straight, as you want to call it, whatever it is. And Matt Birkin looks like he's holding an advantage into the Raymond's hairpin.
Yeah, into the final corner, and no position change for the lead. It is still, as you mentioned, Matt Birkin leading from Bernie Hook in second place, and into the second and third corners they go. And it seems like that pass for the lead happened out of our shots, out of the back of the circuit. But yeah, fastest lap going to Matt Birkin on that last lap, 53.685 seconds, a blistering pace, Liam.
Yes, absolutely. Matt Birkin is looking like he might try and extend the advantage over Bernie Hook, but if in the last couple of races are anything to go by, I don't see that happening for quite a while, because we've got Bernie Hook right on the back of Matt Birkin, heading through the Dell chicane, through Digger's Corner and onto the back straight once again. So could we see Bernie Hook lining up Matt Birkin for a pass going into the final hairpin? It looks like he was late on the brakes, but not quite late enough, because Matt Birkin still holds the advantage coming through the final chicane, final hairpin, sorry, across the start finish line, and it's nose to tail with Bernie Hook setting the fastest lap of the race at the moment, Lester.
Yeah, and only just as well, because Bernie Hook right on Matt Birkin's tail, and a lot of support for the Birkin boys out in this race as well. And I was keeping an eye on Josh Birkin, who is currently in, or he was at the last time we came over the line, and he was in 6th place. He comes over the line this time round, and he's being passed by Ross Michael and Craig Ashall. Yeah,
unfortunately, they've dropped down a couple of positions there. Simon Huntingford, Chris Yeomans and Craig Ashall came across the line side by side, nose to tail. They were so close to the nail, touching tyre to tyre. So Simon Huntingford and Chris Yeomans very close there as they came across our finish line. But once again, Bernie Hook right on the back of Birkin going into the final hairpin, and Birkin takes a tight lane. Hook is taking a much wider line through the corner across our finish line once again, and it's another lap ticked off from them, another 53.7 from Hook, but Birkin a little bit faster that time round at 53.6. as we see Andy Weedon coming across the line, a very lonely third spot. We tend to talk a lot about third place. Has been very lonely today, Lester.
Yeah, there's no shaming coming third, even though you might not be in a spectacular battle on track. Still, third place is a podium, and which will probably entitle you to a glass of cool milk.
Cool milk, very tasty milk indeed, Lester. Matt Birkin is still holding the advantage ahead of Bernie Hook as we head round into the Dell chicane at the moment.
Who's going to get a better run out of this final penultimate corner?
It looks like Matt Birkin is still holding the advantage, but then in saying that, Bernie Hook is lining him up for another wee overtake, once again setting up earlier than Matt Birkin going into the final hairpin. They've got a back marker to contend with any second now as they head into the Hook chicane, so the back marker might get in the way just at the wrong moment for Matt Birkin, and he has done, but easily getting past him round the outside, so no issues there. As we're looking at further back at the battle for, I think it's 5th and 6th between Chris Yeomans and Josh Birkin, who looks like he's actually continuing to make his, I could say Chris Yeomans, he just went past the line, but Josh Birkin and Craig Ashall. So there's a manoeuvre going up the inside of into the hairpin there. I think it could be Josh Birkin, Craig Ashall and Ross Michael in this group. So Josh Birkin has been pushed back to 7th, Craig Ashall in 6th, and Ross Michael is still in 8th.
Yeah, Craig Ashall making the move into the final the final corner to the demise of Josh Birkin, down to 7th place now, and still the lead battle, Birkin and Hook. Matt Birkin and Captain Hook into and out of the final corner now. Over the line they come to begin their penultimate lap. It is still Bernie Hook still second by less than 2/10.
You get a sensation that Hook is just holding back ever so slightly, keeping his powder dry, not showing Birkin where he might try and overtake him. So as they come down the bottom end of the circuit, it's still Birkin ahead of Hook as they go through the fast and long right-hander towards the bottom end of the circuit, heading towards Chandler's. And as we see them approaching more back markers towards the Dell chicane, we may actually get a change for lead here. Looks like Hook is looking up the inside, just holds back for the moment. So as they come onto the back straight, they're getting held up by a couple of wee back markers, and it looks like Hook has had a fantastic exit off the penultimate corner, heading towards the hairpin. Hook is going for the lead change into Raymond's, but Birkin still holds the lead. He's waiting for the last lap, Lester, I feel.
Which is now, actually. Birkin and Hook, as you say...
oh, there was a bit... It looked like he was about to...
Yeah, they're pretty much riding tandem at this point. They're so close together.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like Hook might actually have ran into the back of Birkin or nearly did, heading through the Hook chicane. So heading towards the bottom end of the circuit again. It looks like something's happened to Hook. He's backed off a little bit. There's a few bike lengths between Birkin and Hook towards the end of the lap. I see a marshal run across the track. I don't know if maybe Hook ran off the circuit a little bit.
Let's not speculate, but that could be a possibility. Yeah, certainly we will, as the leader emerges.
Yes, the leader. So Bernie Hook has dropped back a couple of seconds on this final lap. Not sure what's happened, but Matt Birkin is coming towards the end of the final lap through Raven's hairpin, and it looks like he's had a pressure-free half a lap. What actually happened? So this is going to be Matt Birkin taking the second race win of the weekend ahead of Bernie Hook, who comes across the line in second spot, 5 seconds further back behind Matt Birkin. Neil Skinner finishes 9th, Mitch Hollingsby in 10th spot there, as they both congratulate each other. In third spot is going to be Andy Whedon, just holding off Simon Huntingford. So Simon Huntingford closed down Andy Whedon in the last few laps. We're waiting for Chris Yeomans to come across the line, as he does now. The battle for 6th is still raging on, and as we see a wee bit of smoke coming from Bernie
I think he was
Hook.
doing a couple of mini burnouts on these mini moto machines, but yeah, still Craig Ashall and Ross Michael and Josh Birkin battling it out for the final or the mid positions. Over the line comes Craig Ashall, Ross Michael and Josh Birkin for rounding out the penultimate positions as well. So fantastic racing action, and Liam, give us a quick rundown of the order once more.
So it was a fantastic battle, close battle for the top spot, but it was Matt Birkin who came out on top at the end, 5 seconds ahead of Bernie Hook, who had a bit of an issue on the final lap. Andy Whedon completed the podium, 8 tenths in front of Simon Huntingford. Chris Yeomans in 5th, Craig Ashall in 6th, Ross Michael in 7th, Josh Birkin in 8th spot, Neil Skinner, who went from 12th on the grid up to 9th in the race. Fantastic ride by Neil Skinner there in 9th spot, Mitch Hollingsby in 10th, and Robert Kitley in 11th position. Just remember, you're listening to live radio coverage of the CoolFABRacing series. We will be back right after this.
This is CoolFABRacing on the road to MotoGP. From Glandau, this is the 2019 CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship.
And we get ready for the next races, which is the AC40 Rookies, as they go off the grid onto their green flag lap. On pole position for this race will be Archie Gibbs. Ollie Sims starts in 2nd position, with Luke Fitchett in 3rd and Blake Wilson in 4th place. In 5th it will be William Harris. In 6th, Harrison Day. Brandon Keane in 7th place, with Marco Holt lining up alongside him in 8th place. Arnie Carr in 9th, Casey Sperry in 10th, Harry Payne in 11th. 12th is Josh Williams. 13th, Jacob Stevenson. Luke Hutchinson in 14th place, with Thorley Theverow. Apologies, Thorley, if I mispronounce your name. I probably won't be the first time. 16th place, Archie O'Brien. Wilson Dilks in 17th place. Bailey Lawrence in 18th. Callum Maxwell 19th. Noah Guillery in 20th. And Chloe Sewell 21st place for her. That's where she qualified. And yeah, it's going to be another action-packed race.
If anything, if the first 2 races are anything to go by, it's been fantastically good all weekend. We've had Blake Wilson and Ollie Sims taking 1 win apiece this weekend. Blake Wilson taking the spoils in race number 1, Ollie Sims in race number 2. Luke Fitchett finished 3rd in race 1 ahead of Archie Gibbs, and the results were reversed in race number 2 as Archie Gibbs got the better of Luke Fitchett. So this is a race that we will definitely have a lot of action in as the final riders are coming to their grid spots. So we're looking for another top 5 battle for this race win once again. So if there's a race you need to see today, this has got to be the one. As the green flag goes up and it goes down, it's a fantastic start off the grid by Ollie Sims, who started in 2nd spot. He's taking the lead into turn number 1 ahead of Blake Wilson, who gets round another great start. Blake Wilson managed to lead into turn number 1 earlier on today from 4th on the grid, but he's gone into 2nd this time round. It looks like Luke Fitchett is in 4th spot ahead or behind Archie Gibbs. So Ollie Sims leading the way as we approach the bottom end of the circuit ahead of Blake Wilson and of course Archie Gibbs, who just started off pole position and lost a couple of positions at the start. As they head into Chandler's and as they make their way up towards the Dell chicane, it's no change at the top as of yet. It's still Ollie Sims from Blake Wilson and Archie Gibbs through the Dell chicane, but it looks like we've got Luke Fitchett trying to hold on in 4th spot, making up a couple of positions throughout the first couple of corners there as he lost them out at the start. So as we come into the final hairpin, it is Blake Wilson chasing down Ollie Sims as we come across start finish line. Blake Wilson looks like he's making a move on Ollie Sims into the first corner. Not yet, he's just holding back at the moment. Ollie Sims leads the way, but towards the back of the field we're looking at some riders trying to challenge each other into the final hairpin. So far everyone is getting through the first lap nice and cleanly.
That is good to see, and yeah, Blake Wilson setting the so far fastest lap on the very first lap, which is good for him, but amazing to see Ollie Sims and Wilson battling it out very, very closely on this first initial lap, and lots of action and drama. I think there's now a 4-bike battle up front between Sims, Wilson, Gibbs and Fitchett.
It's an 8-wheeler at the front there. It's the same as it was in race numbers 1 and 2. The top 4 are battling out once again for the top 4 positions. Blake Wilson's got a fantastic run on Ollie Sims as they head down the back straight, but once again status quo into the final hairpin, and we could see some manoeuvres coming out of the final corner. We've got Luke Fitchett holding a very tight line. He's got a great run out the final corner, looks up the inside of Archie Gibbs but holds 4th position for the moment, Lester.
Further down the order there is lots of battling coming over the line. It is Casey Sperry in 7th place, making a move on Brandon Keane. Arnie Carr in 9th, Marco Holt in 10th, Max Werity in 11th, Josh Williams in 10th, Luke Hutchinson in 12th, 13th make that, Harry Payne in 14th, and Thorley Theverow in 15th place right now.
Yes, the battle at the top is heating up. Archie Gibbs looks like he's gone for a manoeuvre on Blake Wilson, but holds back as he head through Chandler's up towards the Dell chicane. I think they're just keeping their powder dry at the moment until they get to the hairpin further around the lap as they're making their way onto the back straight. At the moment we could be seeing a position change. It looks like Blake Wilson is possibly lining up Ollie Sims, not just yet.
They're evenly spread out.
Yeah, they have evenly spread out. This is the biggest gap we've seen from the top 4 all day.
Certainly, as I think it was the 4th place man Luke Fitchett trying to get a better, different alternative run out of the final hairpin. Luke Fitchett wasn't able to do anything about it. He still remains in 4th place, but further behind Casey Sperry, Brandon Keane and Arnie Carr fighting very, very close.
Yeah, there seems to be a race further down the order from, I believe, Arnie Carr, Marco Holt and Max Werity heading into the hook chicane. You can see them because they're all covered in yellow, so it's a very bright battle going on there throughout the start of this race lap. So as we head round towards the Dell chicane once again, it looks like Archie Gibbs has made his way into 2nd spot just behind Ollie Sims ahead of Blake Wilson. He has done so. He's made his pass at the bottom end of the circuit there, so he's up into 2nd, challenging Ollie Sims for 1st position as we head down to the final hairpin. Blake Wilson looks like he's going to try and manoeuvre on Archie Gibbs. Is going up the inside of Ollie Sims, but once again Blake Wilson's he's down, unfortunately.
Down, yeah.
Yes, Blake Wilson's gone down at the final hairpin, unfortunately, trying his tried and tested manoeuvre of going around the, yeah, he's up and he's okay. He's a bit angry with himself, stomping on the ground, but thankfully he's okay at the moment.
Further back into the yellow flag zone at the final hairpin, and there should be no overtaking.
Yeah, we've just had Casey Sperry overtaking Arnie Carr as he came across the line. No, apologies, actually it was Brandon Keane who overtook. So Casey Sperry overtook under a yellow flag there. We'll see if anything happens between that.
But lots of action and drama up front though. Ollie Sims and Archie Gibbs less than half a second on that last time over the line as they re-emerge into our view of the commentary box, and yeah, it's still just as close this time round.
Yeah, the yellow flags have gone back in for Blake Wilson's unfortunate demise from this race, but we've got Ollie Sims coming down to the final turn. Archie Gibbs looking up the inside, but once again Luke Fitch is looking up the inside, coming out the hairpin. He gets a fantastic run across the line, but I think he'll hold back. He has done, going into the hook chicane as the leaders are approaching back markers. We've got someone down at the Dell chicane. That looks like it was someone within inside the top 10. We'll just wait until they come across the line and see who that could be. So I think it was someone within the Casey Spadey, Brandon Keane and Arnie Carr battle is down there. So we've got Casey Spadey coming across the line ahead of Brandon Keane. Arnie Carr, I believe, is the one. Arnie Carr's dropping down the order, so it must have been Arnie Carr that went down at the chicane, but that's a shame that he managed to go down there, as it was shaping up, Lester, to be a fantastic battle.
And out of the final corner as well, and almost taking out a marshal, goes one rider. Can't see his bike number, but he's got quickly back on his bike, and it looks like the number
56.
56.
Yeah, 56 of
rider,
Luke Hutchinson. So that's a shame, but he's back on the bike, he's back in the race, so he'll be hoping to try and make up some positions. Once again, into the final hairpin, Archie Gibbs looks up the inside of Ollie Sims, holds back a little bit. Luke Fitchett once again gets a fantastic run out of the final hairpin down to the hook chicane, but holds stationary at the moment. Seems like a pretty tame race compared to the first two, Lester.
You say that, but we've got about a lap and a half to go in this race, and Casey Sperry, Brandon Keane and Max Werity all next to cross the line as one rider goes sliding out of action, tries desperately to pick his bike up and carry on, but he might drop a couple of spots, but that might have been actually Marco Holt who slid out, but he is back up and okay, he's perfectly fine. Yeah, still that Archie Gibbs and Ollie Sims battle between first and second raging on.
Yes, Archie Gibbs has had a great run out of the penultimate corner. He's going to look up the inside once again on Ollie Sims into Raymond's hairpin, but once again holds back. We've got Luke Fitchett getting a long run round it up the inside now, switch to the upside, and he's gone side by side. He might be getting him into the hook chicane. He backed off quite a lot there, so it looks like he's just keeping his powder dry for this final lap actually. Yeah,
Fitchett has a unusual run out of the final corner. He takes a much tighter line, which gives him a better run, seemingly, which helped him cross the timing beam in second position, but he is third on track.
He did set the fastest lap of the race on that final lap there, so as the leaders come through the final lap, they're approaching the bottom end of the circuit at the moment, so they're still close together with Ollie Sims. It looks like he's just opened up a bit of a gap on Archie Gibbs for the second half of this lap at the moment. As they approach the final corner, they're going to be side by side. Possibly as Archie Gibbs is going to be looking for a manoeuvre up the inside of Ollie Sims. Ollie Sims is holding it at the moment. Archie Gibbs is not going for a manoeuvre. We've got Luke Fitchett around the outside possibly, but no, it looks like we're going to have Ollie Sims taking his second race win of the day. Archie Gibbs in second spot, Luke Fitchett in third. We're waiting for William Harris in fourth spot any second now too. So we've had William Harris across the line there. Harrison Day is next up in fifth position, just coming around the final corner at the moment. So a fantastic ride by the top three there, giving us some fantastic action once again. Harrison Day across the line in fifth spot. Max Werity is coming up next ahead of Brandon Keane. But once again, we've got a great battle coming down to the bottom end of the circuit, and it's going to be Max Werity who takes sixth spot ahead of Brandon Keane. Casey Spadey has not crossed the line just yet, but he crossed the line just now, so he's lost it in a couple of positions on the last couple of laps there. Josh Williams in 9th, Harry Payne in 10th. That is for your top 10. It's got the last couple of riders across the line. Thorley Trevorrow and Jacob Stevenson, 0.02 of a second between them for 11th and 12th spot there. Marco Holt in 13th, Arnie Carr in 14th, and Archie O'Brien in 15th. It wasn't the elbow to elbow racing action we had in the first two races, Lester, but there was a bit of action going on down the field.
Yeah, definitely looked like a good race to me, and certainly sounded like a good race as well. So congratulations to Ollie Sims and to Archie Gibbs and to Luke Fitchett, podium position, and thank you very much for putting on a very nice clean race for us here at the South Wales Kart Circuit in Llandow in South Wales. And this is live radio coverage of the round one of the official partner series to the British Superbikes Championship and the Road to Moto GP. It is CoolFABRacing. If you've just tuned in to us online, you are more than welcome to check out more information about how to go racing as well. If you're interested, or you know somebody who is interested, you can check out CoolFABRacing.com. All the contact details that you need are on there. Especially important, as I say, if you probably know somebody who might want to start their racing career, however old or young. That's always more than welcome to see new faces and new names, or returning faces and names back to the paddock, as we have this weekend, round 1 of 8 in 2019. So up next is the Mini GP50s, and that will be in just a couple of moments' time.
There's loads of ways to follow the racing this season. Tune in live on the CoolFABRacing Facebook page, on Twitter and on YouTube. Listen on motorsport.radio and on CoolFABRacing.com.
Mini GP50s heading out onto their green flag lap, their sighting lap, and well, we had Harrison Crosby win race number 2 earlier today, and Josh Bannister was the victor on race number 1 in Saturday, with Ryan Hitchcock and Harrison Crosby and Josh Bannister and Ryan Hitchcock completing the podiums. So will it be those three again in race number 3? Well, Josh Bannister starts this race on pole position. Kyle Payne starts from 2nd. Lucas Brown goes from 3rd place. Harrison Crosby in 4th place. Ryan Hitchcock in 5th. Mason Johnson will be hoping to upset the party. He goes from 6th place. Sullivan Mounsey, what can he do from 7th? Ollie Walker in 8th. Clayton Edmonds starting this race in 9th place. Ronnie Harris in 10th. Ollie Horner in 11th. It's Jimmy Parker in 12th, with Taylor Stewart Campbell 13th. Harrison McKay in 14th. Ben Jolliffe in 15th. Finan Werity starting the final row in 16th, with Warwick Brady rounding out the numbers, set to start from P17 on this race. This is going to be good, Liam.
So the riders are lining up. A little bit of pep talk from the parents for one final moment before they get started off. So green flag is going to go up any moment now. Oh, we've had a rider, looks like he's got a bit of an issue at the back of the pack. That looks like it could be Ben Jolliffe at the back of the pack there.
Yeah, one of the marshals trying to get it restarted, and looks like he has done successfully. Well done. Yes. And he will, that rider will be able to join the race, and we are good to go.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a great start there. So green flag is up, and down and away we go. And another great start this weekend from 2nd position from Kyle Payne, taking the lead into the hook chicane ahead of Josh Bannister and Lucas Brown. So that man, Kyle Payne, is definitely getting a fantastic start off the grid at every single race this weekend. As I go through the bottom end of the circuit, it is still Kyle Payne ahead of Josh Bannister, and of course Lucas Brown in 3rd spot there as we head down the fast right-hander in towards Chandler's. It looks like Josh Bannister did go for a bit of a gap in front of Kyle Payne. Lucas Brown is still in 3rd spot there as we head towards the back of the circuit, ahead of the hangar straight. It is definitely a manoeuvre by Kyle Payne up the inside, but he manages to hold it. So Josh Bannister in 2nd spot, Kyle Payne across the line to complete lap number 1. Harrison Crosby is in 3rd, Lucas Brown in 4th, Ryan Hitchcock in 5th, Sullivan Mounsey in 6th, Ollie Walker's moved up to 7th, demoting Mason Johnson down to 8th, Clayton Edmonds in 9th, and Ronnie Harris in 10th spot, Lester.
Definitely shaping up to be a fantastic scrap. 11 laps left in this race, and as you mentioned, yeah, it is Josh Bannister in second at the moment. Kyle Payne across the line in first place with Harrison Crosby, and Lucas Brown was the quickest on that opening lap. But will he remain the quickest? Will he get the fastest time overall at the end of this race as the first 3 bikes all heading down, and it looks like to be a challenge for the lead?
Yeah, Josh Bannister did try and go round the outside of Kyle Payne there. Kyle Payne went up and inside once again, but Josh Bannister's had a great run out the final corner, just gets his nose chopped off by Kyle Payne heading towards the hook chicane. Harrison Crosby still remains in third as we have a manoeuvre further down the field for the lower end of the positions at the moment. That was number 61 making a place up on number 11, so Harrison McKay moving up to 14th spot on the timing monitors there. So as we head round towards the bottom end of the circuit, once again it's still Kyle Payne in front of Josh Bannister, Harrison Crosby in third, and Lucas Brown in fourth spot, looking towards completely pulling away from the rest of the field there.
Did seem to be at least a challenge, if not a pass for second position, at least from the furthest corner of the circuit, which isn't always good on the old eyesight, but into the final corner they come.
It's Josh Bannister who has taken the lead now. It looks like Harrison Crosby's got into third spot as well, ahead of Kyle Payne, who's dropped into third. Kyle Payne has actually dropped into third, and Lucas Brown still in fourth spot. But it looks like Leicester, we've had Ryan Hitchcock and Sullivan Mounsey close the gap on the top 4, so I don't know if it was a bit of a squall between the top 4 heading down towards the bottom end of the circuit, or they're just closing up.
Jimmy Parker's fallen down a couple of places. Ollie Horner and Harrison McKay benefiting from that. That's a fight for 12th, 13th and 14th place at the moment.
Yeah, Josh Bannister just set the fastest lap of the race with a 50.6. Can he convert that into pulling away from the rest of the pack? It does look like the gap is opening up ever so slightly at the top of the field. Josh Bannister in front of Harrison Crosby. Kyle Payne and Lucas Brown are getting dropped a little bit throughout each single corner here. So across the line to complete another lap is Josh Bannister ahead of Harrison Crosby, who does pull back in Josh Bannister by a couple of hundredths on that lap. Kyle Payne still in third, Lucas Brown in fourth, and we've still got Ryan Hitchcock in fifth.
Looking for the closest battles on track at the moment, and keep an eye out, certainly listen out for Sullivan Mounsey, who's in 6th place right now, but he is and will be looking to close the gap into the to make it into the top 5 scrap between Ryan Hitchcock and himself. Ryan in 5th place at the moment, and the leaders coming back into our vision of from the commentary box, and the top 2 just breaking away now, but interesting fight for 3rd place, Liam.
Yeah, it looks like Harrison Crosby did run over the curb a little bit too much coming onto the penultimate corner, so he lost a little bit of time there. It looked like he was closing up on Josh Bannister, but Josh Bannister just set a new fastest lap of the race at 50.5 there. Harrison Crosby still holds his second, Kyle Payne in third, Lucas Brown in fourth, and Ryan Hitchcock still in fifth. So it looks like Sullivan Mounsey could be mounting a challenge on the 5th spot of Ryan Hitchcock within the next few laps or so. As we look towards the bottom end of the circuit once again, we've had a yellow flag down. There's a rider down at the bottom end of the circuit. That looks like it's Surtees down there. The rider does look like he's trying to pick the bike up, and it does look okay, but a little bit upset with what's happened out there on track at the moment. So not sure who that was. It could have been someone within the top 10. So as we approach the back straight once again, we've got Josh Bannister looking behind him, seeing that Harrison Crosby is slightly closing up towards the final hairpin, and as we complete another lap, Josh Bannister across the lane, followed closely by Harrison Crosby. The gap is down to 0.4 of a second when it was nearly a second last lap.
Two interesting scraps developing. The fight for first place between Josh and Harrison Crosby, Josh Bannister and Harrison Crosby, and then Kyle Payne and Lucas Brown fight for third, emerging between those at the moment. Still a yellow flag down on the far side.
I think we may have had another rider down on this lap. Sullivan Mounsey was the one I think went down last lap as he was dropping down the timing monitor, but I'm not sure he's gone down this lap. We'll find out in a couple of moments time as the leaders come through past towards the final hairpin on the lap. So it's Josh Bannister holding a very small advantage ahead of Harrison Crosby, who is continuing to close down the gap. Looks like Lucas Brown is shaping up. Kyle Payne towards the final turn at the moment, not quite close enough yet. Josh Bannister runs a little bit wide coming to the final corner, and we've got a great scrap by Kyle Payne and Lucas Brown, who come across the line side by side, Leicester.
Definitely closing in the Lucas Brown on Kyle Payne. That's the fight for third place, and yeah, we didn't manage to see who it was who caused that yellow flag. Maybe it was just the recovery of Sullivan's bike, perhaps. But yeah, still lots of action, and they're seemingly somewhat spread out throughout the field, and the final positions just filtering through to begin their lap of Jimmy Parker and Harrison McKay as well. So leaders still looking good, still looking pretty close between the fight for first and third at the moment. Into the final corner they come, and out of it, and it is Lucas Brown taking an interestingly wide line through that final turn, but it's Josh Bannister still leading Harrison Crosby, Kyle Payne in third, and Lucas Brown in fourth, Ryan Hitchcock in fifth place, Ollie Walker in sixth, Mason Johnson at the moment in seventh place, Clayton Edmonds over the line in eighth, Ronnie Harris in ninth, Taylor Stewart Campbell further back in, expected to come over the line in 10th place, but he's got Ollie Horner right behind him. Fight for 10th place hotting up.
Yeah, absolutely, Leicester. Not only is that hotting up for 10th place, but the battle for the lead is continuously hotting up, with Harrison Crosby still hounding the back of Josh Bannister as they approach the final corner for this lap. And we've also got Lucas Brown challenging Kyle Payne for third spot at the moment, but it's still status quo as they come across the line, with Harrison Crosby setting a new fastest lap of the race, a 50.4, as he's right on the back, only a tenth of a second further behind Josh Bannister. I've been noticing further down the timing screens, Leicester, there seems to be a bike out on track that's not been picking up, so number 11, who's just coming across the line now, doesn't seem to be on the timing monitors. Oh, no, something number 56. The number was so small it looked like a number 11. So
okay, yeah, that can be forgiven. These numbers on these bikes are incredibly small, as are some of the riders.
Yes, absolutely. So we've got a couple of them in the commentary box again. We've got the boys that were in earlier on, guys. So we'll talk to them after the race is done, and we'll get their opinions on how they've been doing today and how the racing has been shaping up for them.
Yeah,
so
as we approach the last lap at the moment, and still these two of Josh Bannister and Harrison Crosby fighting, and trying his very, very best to stay as close as possible, if not past Josh Bannister. That's Harrison Crosby, and Kyle Payne.
Yes, absolutely. As we approach the bottom end of the circuit down in Surtees, it looks like we have Lucas Brown shaping up a move on Kyle Payne round the outside, but not quite getting it so far. But as we approach the end of the circuit, the second half of the lap, it looks like the Josh Bannister was pulling out of a bit of a gap, but he's ran a little bit wide. And I think we have Harrison Crosby shaping up a manoeuvre, so they're coming through the penultimate corner right now, just before the back straight. Look, we've got Josh Bannister still holding possession. Harrison Crosby is shaping up a manoeuvre, but I don't think he's close enough. Josh Bannister holds it late, but we've got Josh Bannister coming through the final turn, and we've got a side-by-side action, but it's Josh Bannister holding the first spot ahead of Harrison Crosby. Side-by-side, Kyle Payne holds third, Lucas Brown in fourth spot, and Ryan Hitchcock, we're expected to come across the line next along, but once again he's fighting with Ollie Walker. Ollie Walker takes it on the final corner, diving up the inside of Ryan Hitchcock, demoting Ryan Hitchcock to sixth spot. Mason Johnson ending the race in seventh. Clayton Edmonds coming across the line in eighth place there. Ronnie Harris across the line, number 66 in ninth place. Taylor Stewart Campbell is next along in 10th spot there, ahead of Ollie Horner. So it's in 10th spot, Taylor Stewart Campbell, Ollie Horner, Harrison McKay, and next up on the number 44 machine. So 44 machine was Sullivan Mounds, who went down a little bit earlier on. Harrison McKay in 12th, Jimmy Parker, and another one of the riders coming through the final turn at the moment, number 39 of Jimmy Parker in 13th. And we did have a number 11 bike out on circuit that wasn't actually picking up, so that was a Harvey Claridge out there. So not Harvey Claridge, sorry, but we had one of the bikes out there, number 11, who wasn't actually picking up on the timing monitor.
Very interesting. Of course, you've got to have your transponder on if you want to be in the race. Literally no point turning up and winning the race if the results don't show it, and we don't get to shout about you either. So make sure you've got a working transponder on, for the benefit of the people in the paddock here. Hello and welcome. This is the first round of the 2019 CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship. Thank you very much for everyone tuned in live online, listening on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Motorsport Radio, and the CoolFABRacing website, and probably loads of other places as well. Our next race up is the Extreme 200s, and it's the final race from them of the weekend. And we're joined in the commentary box once again by
James Cook,
Owen Mellor. Hello, guys.
Hello.
So, yeah, talk us through your last race that you did.
My last race, I got second place, and I started sixth on the grid, and I just worked my way through and got second.
My last race was not too good. My brakes failed.
Well, that's not too good.
Yeah, so I had to use my back brake the whole way around.
Blimey.
But I came 12th, so that's pretty good for just using my back brake.
Yeah, that is pretty good. You learn a lot of skills, I suppose, just coping and dealing with things that aren't working on your bikes, don't you?
Yeah.
So, and what are you looking forward to for the next round? Because we go to Red Lodge, I think, next.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to like a win, and yeah, I think that's my
Well, I mean, you came second, so it's close to a win. So next time out, you can target that first position there. So looking forward to round number 2. Someone's got to answer.
Yeah, you're looking forward to the next round at Red Lodge?
Yeah, it should be fun, because I think I'm going to bring a Mini to it, and it's just going to be a fun race.
Fun and competitive as well. Thank you very much, guys. And it was only a short chat that we had, but you're more than welcome to come back to the commentary box and let us know how successful you was in future races. Thank you very much for coming back up.
Thank you.
No problem. And just before you go, is there anyone you want to say thank you to in particular?
I like to say thank you to my mum, my dad, and my granddad for tuning in on the radio, because I know he's listening.
Okay, and
I'd like to say thank you to my mom, my dad, FAB-Racing, and all of my other sponsors.
There you go.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, guys. And do join us back in the commentary box again. Bikes out on track right now for the Extreme 200 class, and Charlie Nesbitt lining up on pole position for this one. But will he take its pole position? Yes, he will. Richard Holmes-Williams starting in second. Richie Turner in third. Brandon Perrell starting off in fourth place. Cam Harris in fifth. Josh Ingram in sixth. Matthew Bolsover in seventh. Jamie King in eighth. Harvey Claridge in ninth. Blake Ansell's expected to start in 10th. But will he be there? Taylor Lawrence in 11th. Felix Hearn in 12th place, and we're getting ready for the start.
Yeah, so the green flag is up, it's down, and Charlie Nesbitt off pole position is getting a lodge and a half off the starting line there. In second spot, it was Richard Holmes-Williams, and we were missing, unfortunately, Richie Turner in third spot, so he didn't take up his starting grid there, but Brandon Perrell moving into third spot just there. So it's Charlie Nesbitt still holding the lead of the race ahead of Richie Holmes-Williams around the second half of this lap. So as they approach Chandler's corner and up towards the Dell chicane, it is still Charlie Nesbitt and Richard Holmes-Williams, as we've seen so far throughout this entire weekend, pulling a sizable lead over the rest of the pack. So it's roughly around about 2 seconds as they approach the end of the lap. Charlie Nesbitt still holding it, just blocking off a potential manoeuvre by Richard Holmes-Williams into the final hairpin, Lester.
Yeah, lots of fans screaming and supporting the riders as they ear-splittingly loud pit bike class, and it is, as you mentioned, Charlie Nesbitt leading from Richard Holmes-Williams as they all filter through the start-finish line. And
well, we've had a rider just come off as he exited the hook chicane just behind the caravans there, so we can't unfortunately see what happened to them, but the rider did come off. I just turned around and just saw the rider just crash off there, so I'm not sure.
That's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
up front though, still it is Richard Holmes-Williams trying to do everything he can from a very quick Charlie Nesbitt into the final corner of the first lap. Second lap, and over the line they come. The gap is now down to less than 0.2 of a second. There's lots of battling further back as the pack filters through. Josh Ingram in third, Brandon Perrell in fourth, Matthew Bolsover in fifth, Harvey Claridge in sixth, Jamie King in seventh, Cam Harris eighth. Blake Ansell does start the race, he's ninth. Taylor Lawrence in 10th place, Felix Hearn 11th, Ian Jackson 12th place, Liam Fairbrother, it might have been him, but he is listed in 13th place on the timing.
Yeah, Yes, as we saw the top riders, Charlie Nesbitt, Richard Holmes Williams, Josh Ingram, Brandon Pearl and Matthew Bolsover coming across the line there. Big cheers from the crowds that are still watching trackside here, so they were cheering on the top riders. It looks like Richard Holmes Williams was shaping up a pass on Charlie Nesbitt going into chicane. Charlie Nesbitt ran a little bit wide. Richard Holmes Williams making a move. Whoa, that's close as they enter the hook chicane. Charlie Nesbitt, Richard Holmes Williams have been separated by literally nothing so far, Lester. Blake Ansell making a move around the outside into the final hairpin. As he does that, it looks like,
I think it looks like as well, Felix Hearn also involved in that scrap as well. Blake Ansell just losing a couple of positions.
Yeah, not sure if maybe he's having some bike trouble as he did earlier on today.
Somebody pulling off on the far side of the chicane, on the inside of the circuit. Maybe some technical problems for whoever that is. Can't see from this position, but the two leaders, Richard Holmes Williams weaving down the back straight, trying to put off Charlie Nesbitt, something he'll never do. Charlie has a quick look behind him. Over the line he comes to start his next lap, and Richard Holmes Williams keeping a watching brief in second position. A long gap between them both and the third place rider, Josh Ingram, who has Brandon Perrell right behind him, and Matthew Bolsover over the line. Then comes it's going to be Jamie King, who's just passed Harvey Claridge on that last lap, and then it's Cam Harris, Taylor Lawrence, Ian Jackson, Felix Hearn down to 11th place, and Blake Ansell in 12th, struggling at the moment.
Yeah, it looked like Cam Harris did shape up Harvey Claridge for a manoeuvre up the inside at the final hairpin there, but backed off as Harvey Claridge did chop his nose off ever so slightly. But in front in the field, it does look like Charlie Nesbitt has opened up a smaller advantage. I say that, it looked like it did close up as it crossed the line, and it did indeed. Richard Holmes Williams did set the fastest lap of the race so far, a 47.007, a 007 with the 47 just in front of it. Josh Ingram coming across the line in third position, and we've got a great battle towards the end of the top 10 at the moment. Harvey Claridge chasing down Jamie King as they come through the final turn. We've still got Cam Harris all over the back, Taylor Lawrence and Ian Jackson all separated by literally nothing, Lester.
Yeah, it's hard to know where to look, to be honest, with a huge scrap for those further down positions, and also trying to keep an eye on Charlie Nesbitt and Richard Holmes Williams. I have a feeling that maybe Charlie Nesbitt is allowing Richard Holmes Williams to apply the pressure.
Charlie Nesbitt has just set the fastest lap of the race at a sub 47 second lap time.
So 46.
He is pushing, and Richard Holmes Williams is keeping up. So that is the fastest lap time they've set in any of the races this weekend. A first 46 for them this weekend in the races. So a very close lap time, only a couple of tenths of a second between them there, as it looks like Harvey Claridge once again is shaping up another manoeuvre on Jamie King. Hope just runs a little bit wide. Cam Harris is looking up this into the hook, and he just has the nose chopped off ever so slightly once again by Harvey Claridge.
Yeah, Cam Harris I think is a much more prominent rider, let's say, and
we've got Richard Holmes Williams looking up the inside of Charlie Nesbitt, but he doesn't get it, not quite, but it's so close. Charlie Nesbitt has a wee look over his shoulder, and it's a new fastest lap of the race to Richard Holmes Williams this time. These two are pushing each other so hard.
In a class of two is Charlie Nesbitt at the moment with Richard Holmes Williams. And you have the feeling that Richard Holmes Williams is going to get Charlie Nesbitt at some point. That will be interesting to see. Over the line for Josh Ingram and Brandon Perrell. Brandon not able to do anything about Ingram, and that's the fight for third place.
We've got a manoeuvre for 10th spot. That was Felix Hearn and Ian Jackson coming across the line, with Blake Ansell closing in the gap. So it looks like 6th down to 12th position are starting to bunch together a little bit, as we see that Blake Ansell is closing up on the back of them as well. Charlie Nesbitt still holding the position.
Going a bit wide though out of the final corner.
Across the line, side by side, are we going to get a change for position? No, it's close.
Side by side.
Side by side indeed. Charlie Nesbitt still holds the first position across the start-finish line around the hook chicane, and Richard Holmes Williams does have to settle into second position.
Yeah, just the way the timing loop happens to be situated sort of diagonally here at Clandau. It did cross the line with Richard Holmes Williams over the line, technically in first place, but he didn't make first place into the first corner, so he's still second.
It looks like both of them are trying as hard as they can to lap as many people as they can within this race. They're closing very quickly on the back of the pack at the moment. As we come down to the final hairpin, once again, it's Charlie Nesbitt taking a defensive line, running a slightly wide. Will we get side-by-side action? Not quite this time around, but it's still a very, very fast-paced lap from Charlie Nesbitt and Richard Holmes-Williams.
I noticed that Ian Jackson made up 2 spots at the final hairpin, taking Taylor Lawrence and Harvey Claridge, I believe, and that's the fight for 7th place, putting Ian Jackson, bike number 7, in 7th place right now.
He's been making a couple of positions in the last few laps. There's has Ian Jackson, Taylor Lawrence and Harvey Claridge will definitely be wanting to get back past him. So as the leaders approach the Dell chicane, we've just had the bag markers coming through just in front of them, so that's a great battle from 6th all the way down to 12th, with Harvey Claridge looking up the inside of Taylor Lawrence but not quite making it so far. Charlie Nesbitt holding the lead into the final turn, running a little bit wide once again, and we're going to get Richard Holmes-Williams across the line. It's going to be a fast lap from either of them, not quite just yet.
And they are approaching a massive group of bikes who will be somewhat reluctant to give them an easy path through, because they're in amongst, what, about 5 or 6 other competitors at the moment. And I noticed that Jamie King lost a couple of spots to at least Ian Jackson on that last lap.
Yeah, the riders that they are catching will definitely not want to give them any room, as they are in the old battle, and they've caught them towards the Dell chicane at the moment as they come through Diggers corner, the penultimate corner on the lap so far, and heading down towards the final hairpin. They're catching the back markers hand over fist. Jamie Nesbitt up the inside of one of the back markers, push him a little bit wide, and that could give Richard Holmes-Williams a chance across the start finish line. Final lap of the race coming up, and they're in amongst a ton of back markers.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see, and hopefully the fight for the lead will not be decided by traffic, let's say, but it could well be.
It looks like Blake Ansell's been pushed out of the way by Charlie Nesbitt. Charlie Nesbitt looks like he's carving his way through the field a little bit easier than Richard Holmes-Williams is in this final lap. So as they head towards Chandler's and back up towards the Dell chicane on this final lap, Charlie Nesbitt looks like he's actually gotten through some of the back markers, and it looks like Richard Holmes-Williams has been caught up in a few more of them. Heading towards... Oh, we've had a couple of riders off at the penultimate corner. They're up and okay.
Didn't see who that was,
I think Blake Ansell might have been involved, but coming across the finish line, it is Charlie Nesbitt to pick up his 3rd win of the weekend, just in front of Richard.
I suspect that might have been Richard Holmes-Williams off.
I believe you're right. I think that's Richard Holmes-Williams come round.
Yeah, that would have been a great shame for... he might still finish. He probably... With that bar in front, to be honest, I think he's probably just coming round to... finish in 2nd position, and he does, so just goes to show just how far in front these two were, that he can actually go down, get back up again and finish 2nd.
Yeah, Charlie
by a comfortable margin.
By a massively comfortable margin. In fact, 19 seconds behind Charlie Nesbitt, but it was literally throughout the entire race covered by tenths, hundredths of a second. So Charlie Nesbitt takes the race win, the 3rd race win of the weekend for Charlie Nesbitt in the Extreme 200 class, ahead of Richard Holmes-Williams, who got tangled up in a crash with one of the back markers on the final lap. Josh Ingram completes the podium in 3rd spot. Fantastic ride by Josh Ingram, and he beat his teammate rival Brandon Perrell in that final race this weekend. Matthew Bolsover in 5th spot, Ian Jackson in 6th, Taylor Lawrence in 7th spot there, Blake Ansell in 8th, so making up a few positions on the final lap. Jamie King in 10th, Felix Hearn in 11th spot, and we had Cam Harris in 12th position. And unfortunately, Liam Fairbrother didn't complete the race, only completed 2 laps of the 11 available.
Live from Glandau, this is the 2019 CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship.
And unbelievable to say that we are at the final race of the entire 1st round weekend here at a cloudy Glandau, which is not easy to say. And it's Russell Morgan, who is sidecar extraordinaire minus passenger this weekend.
Minus bike this weekend?
Yeah, and bike as well, yes, and entire machine. So, yeah, he's joining us for a bit of co-commentary on this final mini F1 sidecar.
And I got
race.
a bit of gossip.
Oh, a bit of gossip.
Bit of gossip, yeah. Mick Williams has a gearbox problem.
Mick Williams, breaking news. Mick Williams has a gearbox problem.
Yeah.
He'll still probably win, though.
Well, getting him off the line is the thing. And as we saw before, that if he has a bad start, Mick Lee and Jack Walters can give him a good run for his money.
I'm suspecting a little bit of mind games here between potentially some of the front runners, but yeah, sidecars are on the grid, about to start their green flag lap at the moment, and well, for the first time in a very, very long time, we actually didn't see Mick Williams run away with it, and that was in race number 1. It was Jack Walters who, to everybody's surprise, but not Jack Walters, it is, he actually took the victory in race number 1. And race 2, it was Mick Williams righting that wrong, also he thinks, with getting the victory back over Mr. Walters.
But it was a gearbox problem that sorted him out earlier on as well, that gave Jack the win.
Okay.
So what we're hoping, terribly I know, but it would be nice for Mick to have another race where he's not actually leading from the get-go.
I think Mr. Williams and his passenger might be looking for you later to have a quiet word.
No, it's okay. We've had a chat in the paddock earlier.
Okay, fair enough. So the grid then for this final race here at Llandau in Wales. It is Mick Williams who starts the race on pole position with a suspected gearbox problem. Will he get away? Well, we'll see. Jack Walters looking to capitalise on a Mick Williams potential gearbox problem. He starts in second, Mick Lee in third, Mark Parker in fourth, Simon Ibbotson in fifth, John Hosker in sixth, Adrian Ems in seventh, Paul Qualters Jr. starts from 8th place. And calling this race the final time all weekend, it's Liam Hodgins.
Thank you very much, Lester. Yes, the final race of the weekend. I can't believe it's the final race already. So it's the Mini F1 Sidecars Championship here at CoolFABRacing in Llandau, as the green flag is about to go up and is dropping now. And it's a fantastic start off the grid by Jack Walters, who takes the lead into the hook chicane turn at number 1 ahead of Mick Williams. So maybe that commentary problem of the gearbox problem has actually come to fruition, Russell.
Well, when hopes... no, I don't mean that horribly, but isn't it nice that Mick's actually got to work to get into the front and actually win a race from not leading from pole?
Absolutely. So we've got a bit of a race on our hands now. So it's Jack Walters who leads away from Mick Williams, and then Mick Lee is in 3rd spot. Mark Parker is holding up in 4th spot, but it looks like the top 2 have taken a bit of an advantage as we head into the Dill chicane. So it's going to be Jack Walters leading the way onto the back straight ahead of Mick Williams. So Mick Williams looks like he's shaping up a pass into into the final corner on the track, with Mick Lee trying to hold on to the coattails. So as we come through the final turn, Russell, it looks like Jack Walters is keeping Mick Williams at bay so far.
Well, Jack Walters is quick. I mean, he's only young. I think he's only 18 or 19. And this is his first real full season, so I think he's doing fabulous so far.
So he's definitely out to shake up the old guard, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I think we need a bit of new blood. And saying about that, anybody who wants to have a go at passengering, anybody over the age of 16 and agile, that includes you, Liam.
I was actually looking at Lester there. I think Lester might be up for passengering for you in the next round.
I think agile is one thing I am not.
Yes, if we could all agree with that.
I'm more built for comfort, as these sidecars are not compatible with my frame.
No,
I think I'm about the size of an entire sidecar.
As we're looking back at the race action, it does look like Mick Williams has gotten into the lead of the race, and he has done as we head down towards the final corner on the track. Jack Walters back into 2nd spot, so that did happen down the far end of the circuit. So this is past our finish line, fastest lap of the race to Mick Williams with a 56.4. So it looks like Jack Walters has a race on his hands now. Can he hold on to the back of Mick Williams? What are you thinking, Mick? Russell, sorry. Are you thinking Mick can do it?
I think now Mick's up in front. He just get his rhythm going and he'll be away now.
Although further in the back part of the circuit, it looks like it's a bit of a side-by-side action. It's not quite conclusive for that fight for, I think, second or... they're still fighting hard.
Still fighting hard for 1st place, which is good to see. As I say, it's about time that Mick had a bit of competition, let's say. And as I say, Jack's not been far off him all over the weekend, and obviously he's already won one, so it's given him a bit of confidence to actually go for it a bit harder.
Yes, absolutely. So Jack Qualters still all over the back of Mick Williams as they head around the final corner across the start finish line to start the next lap. That's more laps ticked off, and it's only 0.3 of a second. So Jack Qualters is holding on to the back of Mick Williams, who is putting in a fantastic performance. Mick Lee's 3.8 seconds further back, and Mac Parker across the line there on the 230 sidecar is 2.8 seconds further back of Mick Lee. Simon Ibbotson in 5th spot, John Hosker in 7th, and we've got Adrian Ems in 7th spot there with Paul Qualter Jr. At the back of the grid at the moment. So Mick Williams is still holding the lead of the race. Jack Qualters looks like he's dropping back ever so slightly, Russell.
Yeah, but you also remember that Adrian Ems is riding injured, and I believe Paul Qualters Jr. is actually running with a new sidecar passengers, his first time at any circuit. So we're both at a disadvantage anyway. They would normally be a bit further up, I would have thought. Yeah, so that's quite good. They've got someone trying out their first sidecar weekend and doing quite well, so they've managed to get out there and put in a respectable job. Yeah, but a lot of sidecar riding is to do with rhythm. And what people don't realise is the sidecar rider's got to learn the circuit the same as the rider has to know where to position themselves on the bike, which is where the agility comes in. Yeah, I can imagine it can be very difficult, especially for the passenger, knowing how to position himself on the sidecar. Especially the first race or two, yeah, till you find out where the handholds are and where you should put your feet, etc. Yeah. I wouldn't want to ride sidecar personally. But you do it anyway. I only ride it, I don't run passenger, let's put it that way. Yeah, so Mick Williams set the fastest lap of the race at that previous lap. He's holding a 7/10 advantage at the top of the field. So we're on to the final lap now of the sidecar race, and it looks like Mick Williams has increased the advantage again over Jack Qualters. As I say that, it looks like it might be even closer as they round the final turn across the start finish line. It's going to be Mick Williams just holding off Jack Qualters across our finish line. Fantastic win from Mick Williams, but Jack Qualters takes the fastest lap of the race, a 55.9. So close, but yet so far, Russell. Yeah, we'll see. This is the first race of the year, first meeting, so I'm expecting Jack to do a lot more over the season. It'd be nice to give Mick a little bit of a run for his money. Absolutely. So we're looking for a great championship battle between Mick Williams and Jack Qualters. Mick Lee finished up in 3rd spot once again this weekend, ahead of Mark Parker in 4th spot. Simon Ibbotson coming across the line in 5th. A fantastic ride by Simon Ibbotson on the number 46 sidecar. We're just waiting for John Hosker to come across the line in 6th spot. Now across the line comes John Hosker, who didn't finish the previous race but managed to finish in 6th spot in race number 3 for the weekend. Number 24, Paul Qualters Jr. across the line ahead of Adrian Ems, who's got a slip disc in his back, so he's riding a little bit injured this weekend. Yeah, he's normally a lot further up the field than this. I've seen. I think he finished 2nd in the whole championship last year, so this is quite a bad one for Adrian this weekend. So we could see him back up towards the front once again once he feels fully fit. And Mick Williams taking the race win in race 3, many F1 sidecars. Jack Qualters in 2nd spot. Mick Lee has rounded out the podium positions there in 3rd. Mark Parker in 4th position there. Simon Ibbotson finishing 5th. John Hosker in 6th place. Paul Qualters Jr. in 7th spot, and Adrian Ems in 8th. Rounding out the runners and riders for the sidecars championship. So Russell, we expect you back at the next round for round number 2. I shall be at Red Lodge. I will be hopefully with a bike and a decent engine. I lost it. I'll be running in, so I doubt very much if I'll be anywhere near the front. But I'll be there, and you know. So
where do you think, Russell, you might have come if you had a bike and a passenger in this race?
In this race, I would have probably come 3rd from last.
Oh, okay.
I certainly wouldn't have been at the front. It's a brand new chassis. It's never been on the circuit yet, so I've got to learn the chassis, make sure it's all right, nothing falls off it. As you're aware, we self-build our chassis.
Yeah.
So we can't guarantee that our welding is perfect.
As is evident with... self-evident, I would say.
Yeah, self-evident. The bits that fall off are normally not human, but
sometimes they are.
But sometimes they are, yeah. But
I've seen sidecar passengers chasing after their sidecar.
Yeah, but we can't weld them on, you see.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, we'll love to see you back at round 2, Red Lodge, in 4 weeks' time, I think.
4 weeks' time, yeah.
And thank you very much for coming up and co-commentating on the mini F1 sidecars.
Thank you for inviting me.
Giving us a lot of insight. It was always good to know a little bit about the sidecar championship from someone that's actually inside it.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. Well, we expect to see you back for round number 2, and we'll be keeping a close eye on you, so best of luck for Red Lodge in a few weeks' time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Russell.
So you're listening to live race coverage of round 1 of the 2019 CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship, and that is it. We are done for the weekend, for the first round. And we've had some fantastic, spectacular action all throughout every single class. Even the mini F1 sidecars gave us a huge shock, albeit for one race only, with a non-Mick Williams victory. But will that happen again? Who knows? You'll have to tune in and find out. Thank you very much for listening to live radio coverage. And we will be back in a few weeks' time for round number 2 with more exclusive live coverage of every single race on the weekend, all on Saturday, on Sunday as well. Thank you very much to Blake Ansell for coming up to co-commentate with us, and yeah, hopefully he'll be back, plus a working bike as well. So yeah, that'll be one for him to work on in the next few weeks. Thank you very much to Chris McCarthy, who popped in at yesterday's race as well. And thank you very much, Liam Hodgins, as well. You wouldn't actually know it, folks, but this is actually Liam Hodgins' first, his debut commentary ever.
Yeah, I'm just going to go lie down now. I'm shaking like a leaf in the moment. It's been a nervous weekend, but I've had a fantastic time here at CoolFABRacing. So round 1 out of the way, and I cannot wait for the next 7 rounds to come up. So Red Lodge next in 4 weeks' time, and it looks to be a fantastic championship all the way through every single series. So I can't wait to get started for round number 2, Lester.
And just before we go, we'd like to give a big thanks to all of the marshals and medics, as well to race control and to the catering staff as well, and especially the catering staff who put food in our bellies.
They've been giving us some brilliant food this weekend.
Amazing.
Yeah,
yes.
Cannot highly recommend them enough.
Exactly. And a big thank you to the South Wales karting circuit, as it's officially known. Thank you very much to everyone involved in putting on a good show, which was the first round of the CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship. And last but not least, thank you very much to all the parents and marshals as well, even the Motorsport Award nominated ones, and to the mums. Happy Mother's Day as well. I think it's Mother's Day, I think.
It's Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all those mothers.
Exactly. So thank you very much to everyone. And if you've tuned in live for any amount of time this weekend, thank you as well for sending in your comments and a nice positive vibes via the internet. And so you can go back and listen to any of our coverage. Yes, all day if you want. You can download it. Yes, I'm sure somebody will. But it'll be available as a downloadable podcast on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Spreaker, and also on motorsport.radio, and also on the Apple Podcast and Google Podcast. Just Google basically CoolFABRacing, and you'll find all the podcasts too, especially if you had a GoPro on your bike this weekend and you maybe want to make a nice cool little edit if you were a budding content creator.
We CoolFab edit.
Exactly. So that really is all from us here in the studio for round 1. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for putting on a fantastic show. Thank you very much for organising a good show for the officials and circuit officials here at Clandau. I'll get it right one day. But thank you, and join us again next time for round 2 of the CoolFABRacing British Mini Bikes Championship.
Live from Clandau, this is the 2019 CoolFABRacing